bestie. She's my bestie. That's my bestie. Your pair of eyes had me paralyzed. Toxic nigga, but you made me to a better guy. Smoke, but with you on forever, ever. I could watch you all day, girl, like you're televised. Think like this nigga, they ain't never lied. I left the bitches alone, I had to pick a side. Look in your eyes, girl, you were hypnotized. Of course, it was your breasts, hips, and them damn thighs. Close my eyes, I'm still mesmerized. Trying to get mad at my bestie, I tried. That's my bestie, my pretty.
I heard she's the one, she's got it going on. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. She don't take no mess. My bestie is the best. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. I heard she's the one, she's got it going on. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. She don't take no mess. My bestie is the best. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Hey, what's up? So I'm back with another one. Okay, we're gonna do Colin Albert's testimony. This is one of the ones that were in the house the night that Officer John O'Keefe lost his life and was found on the front lawn. Anyways, so that and the second trial is on the way. They have 7 jurors seated. So it looks like we may start anywhere from then. I mean, they may have a jury by the end of the week. And if they do, you never know. We may start next week or the week after. So, yeah. That should be fun. Also, Monday, Lori Vallow goes on trial. She is representing herself in the conspiracy to commit murder with her brother, with her ex-husband passed away. It was a self-defense. They thought it was self-defense, and yeah, when they looked more into it, it seems more conspiracy than self-defense. I don't know. I haven't I don't know all the evidence they have. But anyway, she's already convicted of conspiracy to commit murder of her 2 children and her new husband's wife. So yeah, but because she's representing herself, I think that would be a shit show trial to watch. So I may be doing like double streams. Anyways, so let's get into Colin Albert's testimony today. Okay, let's see.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Malone.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Colin Albert, Albert.
And where do you live, sir?
Canton, Mass.
And how long have you lived in Canada?
My whole life.
And who, if anyone, do you live in Canada?
I live with my mother, my father, and my 2 brothers.
And your mother and your father, what are their names?
Julie and Chris Albert.
And your brothers, what are their names?
Chris and Dylan Albert.
See, to me, it looks like he got a black eye. Like, it really does. Like, I know I'm alcohol or, lack of sleep, but you're barely 20 freaking years old, 19 or whatever, and you got some black eyes. I mean, were you in a fight recently? That's what I would have been asking. Maybe it's just the camera, but I've seen you both on Law and Crime and this one. So it can't, I don't know, maybe it is.
As far as within the age of you and your 2 brothers, where do you fall in that?
I am the middle child.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 20 years old.
And do you work? Do you go to school?
I go to school at Bridgewater State.
And what year are you in?
I am going into my junior year.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to January 28th and to January 29th of 2022. Do you recall those days?
Yes.
Do you recall what days of the week they were?
I do not.
Do you recall whether it was a weekday, weekend?
Also, also anybody that's doing like the YSL stuff, they're trying to revoke Young Thug's freaking probations because of other people's posts online, saying that he's influencing other people to do it. I'm quite sure Young Thug doesn't fucking tell anybody what to post. And he's allowed to type whatever the fuck he wants on his social media. He's not making threatening words or anything like that. This is ridiculous. Like, anyways, so yeah, that's to come. I'm gonna try to get the paperwork for that so I can go over it, because that's wild. Anyways.
Weekend.
And turning your attention to the evening of January 28th, you recall where you went that night?
Yes, I do.
And just to be clear, around that time, were you in college? Were you in high school? What grade were you in?
I was a senior in high school.
So end of January, you would have been about 4 months away or so from graduation, correct?
Yes, sir.
And on that evening, where did you, at some point, did you leave your home and go out?
Yes, I did.
And do you recall about what time it was that you went out?
I do not remember.
Do you recall whether it was light or dark when you went out?
It was dark.
And where did you, upon leaving your house, where did you go?
I went to one of my buddies'
It
houses.
doesn't move.
And,
Like, it
that
just
buddy, what was his-
stays there.
Mike.
It's like
where's Mike
he's
live in
getting
relation?
over some black eyes.
Can you rephrase that?
Does Mike live in Canton as well?
Yes, he does.
About how far is it from your house to Mike's?
About like 7-8 minutes.
And when you got to Mike's house, was it just you and Mike, or who, if anyone else was there?
I do not remember who was there.
Corner of his
Was there more
eyes
than
looked a
two of you?
little
Yes.
weird.
And generally speaking, when you got to Mike's house, what is it that you did when you got there?
I do not remember.
Now, as far as how you got from your house to Mike's house, do you recall how you got there?
No, I do not remember.
Let me ask you this: you walked?
He
you drive,
doesn't
you
remember
drive?
anything.
I got a ride.
Kelly.
Do you recall who you got a ride from?
No.
And when you do you recall? Let me ask you this: as far as that particular night that you went out, did you drink any alcoholic beverages while you were out?
Yes.
And did you drink
Of
any of
course
those
he
that
did.
night?
He was
Yes.
underage
And
drinking,
do you recall generally what you were drinking that night?
which that
Bud Light.
should be a crime.
And when you were at Mike's house on that particular evening, do you recall about how long you were there?
They don't do anything about that.
A few hours.
It's the slick
And do you
Portman
recall how
son.
much you had to drink while you were at Mike's house?
I do not remember.
And so, in reference to you going out and going over to Mike's house and having some beers over there, is that why you didn't drive?
Yes.
So you got a ride from someone over to Mike's house, you spent some hours there, and then do you recall where you went from there?
I went to my uncle's house.
And fair to say you have a relatively large extended family within Canton, is that correct?
Yes.
And so when you say you went to your uncle's house, which uncle's house did you go to?
My uncle Brian.
And that would be same last name as yourself, so Brian Albert.
Yes.
And how is he your uncle? So how is he related to you?
He is my father's brother.
And why did you go to
He's
your
his
uncle's
fucking
house?
uncle.
It was my
What does
cousin
it
Brian's
matter?
birthday, so I went over to celebrate for a little bit with him.
And so that would be Brian Albert Jr., is that right?
Sir.
And do you know how old your cousin Brian Albert Jr. was turning on that night?
I do not know.
You don't know shit,
When,
Ollie.
do you recall how you got from Mike's house to your uncle's house?
I believe Allie McCabe,
Like, I don't
do you know
understand.
the
like,
address,
you're
as far as
young.
your
You
uncle's house?
should have a
34
good memory.
Fairview Road.
Is that somewhere, your family's house, is that somewhere that you had been before?
I would want to
Yes.
remember something like
And
that.
so your memory is that
Yes.
Ellie McCabe gave you a ride from Mike's house to the house on Fairview?
From what I remember, yes.
Now, Ellie McCabe, as far as who is that to you? Or what, if any, kind of relationship you have with Ellie McCabe?
It is my cousin's cousin. So not technically my cousin, but we're close and like we do family events and stuff like that together.
And you and Miss McCabe, are you in the same grade?
Yes.
And how long have you known each
My whole entire life.
other? So not blood related, but someone that you see at family events.
Yes.
And someone that was in the same grade and went to the same school as you?
Correct.
And that school, which school did you go to at that time?
Canton High School.
And do you recall about what time it was that you arrived at the house on Fairview?
Between 10:30 and 11 at night.
And did you have at that time any kind of a curfew or time that you had to be home from your parents?
Usually around like right around before midnight.
And so was it like a hard fast, like 12 o'clock, if you're not here, you're grounded, or was it sort of around that time?
Just around midnight.
And so after, when you arrive there, you go into the house, is that right?
Yes.
And the house at 34 Fairview has a couple of different ways to get in the house in the front, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you recall which way that you went in that evening?
The side door near
Hey,
the garage.
Daniel.
And when you come into the house, where did you go within the house? What room did you go into?
The living room,
And then from the living room, where else did you go within the house?
like the kitchen area.
And within the kitchen area of the house, who, if anyone else, was present in the kitchen?
From what I remember, my cousin Brian, Emily Fabiano, Sarah Levinson, and Catherine Duty, from what I remember that night.
Is it possible there were other people there that you
Sarah
didn't recall?
Yes.
And where were they situated, sort of in the kitchen, dining room area?
Like sitting around the kitchen table, I would say.
Now, after you arrived there, when you arrived there, what is it that they were doing when you walked in?
Just listening to music and having a couple drinks.
And you come in, you greet people, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the other people that you talk about, as far as beyond your cousin Brian Albert Jr., did you know those other people?
I knew of them. I wasn't friends with them or anything.
Fair to say they were older than you were, is that correct?
Correct.
So, like Ms. Levinson would have been older than you by at least a few years at that point.
Yes.
And the same with reference to, I believe you said, Ms. Fabiano and Ms. Duty, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, when you arrived at the house, did you have any other drinks once you got there?
Yes.
And do you recall what, if anything, you drank once you got there?
Bud Light.
The same as you were having before?
Correct.
You know how many that you had while you were at 34 Fairview.
I do not remember.
And over the course of the evening, whether it was at Mike's house or in between, or when you got to 34 Fairview, did you feel yourself as far as like overly intoxicated or drunk or anything like that?
No.
And as far as the other people that you observed at the house that night, does anybody stick out to you as being overly intoxicated or fall down drunk or anything like that?
No.
Now, with reference to when you came into the house, you mentioned the music playing. How would you describe sort of the general mood within the house?
I was happy. It was, yeah.
Now, as far as that area where you first observed the people around the table in the kitchen dining room area when you came in, did you ever see anybody else go anywhere else in the house?
Not that I remember.
Did you yourself go anywhere else in the house?
No.
At any point in time in the evening while you were there, did you go upstairs or downstairs in the basement or out in the backyard or anywhere else besides the kitchen dining room area?
No.
Beyond maybe the restroom at some point?
Yeah. Other than
Hey,
that,
Bo, how are you?
And about how long were you at your uncle's house that night to celebrate your cousin's birthday?
probably around like an hour and a half.
And so about what time would it have been that you left?
12:10.
And with respect to your leaving the house, who, if anyone, did you contact to facilitate?
Rephrase.
Let me ask it in a much easier way. Okay. As far as your plans were concerned, as far as leaving the house, who, if anyone, did you reach out to get a ride from?
My friend Allie McCabe.
And how did you reach out
I'm
to her?
doing good.
I texted her.
And do you recall whether or not you had any sort of other communication? Well, let me step back and ask it this way. At that point in time, in January of 2022, you had Ms. McCabe's information saved as contact in your phone. Is that correct?
Correct.
And on prior occasions, had you had a chance to, call that number from your cell phone that you had programmed in as Allie McCabe?
Correct.
And when you called that number, who, if anyone, answered the phone?
Allie.
Now, with respect to text communications, had you had text communications with that contact in your phone as Allie McCabe prior to that date of January 28th?
Yes.
And when you had those conversations, did you then also have subsequent sort of in-person conversations with Allie McCabe as well?
Yes.
And during those in-person conversations, was there any reference or anything talked about the content that had been previously sent and communicated via text?
No.
Let me ask it in a better. So you would have text communications with the person you put in as a contact as Allie McCabe, correct?
Yes.
And then subsequent to having those text communications, you would then speak to her either in person or over the phone, correct?
Objection. The objection sustained. Watch the form of your questions.
Following those text communications with the person that you had input in your phone, what, if any, verbal conversations would you have in reference to the content of the text?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Did you talk to her in person about something you had talked to her about in text?
No.
Now, with reference on that specific date of January 28th, was text communications the only means by which you communicated with Allie McCabe?
From what I remember, yeah.
And were there other means by which you would typically communicate with her?
If she wasn't answering a text, I'd give her a call. Yeah.
And were there apps or anything like that on your phone that you would communicate with her as well?
Snapchat sometimes.
Now, with respect to Snapchat and your family, specifically your cousins, what, if any, sort of group Snapchat chains were there with respect to your family?
Yes.
And specifically, who were those sort of group Snapchat chains? Who was included within?
I have a Snapchat group chat with my cousins.
And you have cousins on basically your father's side and your mother's side, correct?
Not on my mother's side, no.
You have no cousins on your mother's side?
No.
And with respect to the cousins on your father's side, would it be all of your cousins that were included within that?
Not all of them, no.
And so who of your cousins would be included on those kind of group Snapchat chains?
My older brother, Chris, my younger brother, Dylan, my cousin, Kevin, Brian, Brendan, Caitlin, Kayla, and I believe that is it.
And if you recall, was there any communication on that group Snapchat chain in regard to Brian Jr.'s birthday on that date of January 28th to 29th?
No, not that I remember.
Now, with respect, so you reach out to Ms. McCabe via text, is that correct?
Yes.
And she agrees to pick you up?
Yes.
And at some point, are you made aware that she's at the home?
Yes.
And how is it that she makes you aware that she's at the home?
I got a text message from her that says I'm here.
And at any point in time while you were in the home, did Ms. McCabe come inside the home?
No.
And so after you received that text message from Ms. McCabe, did you respond?
Yes.
And do you recall what you responded?
Coming.
And from that communication, after you sent that, about how long was it between the time that you sent that and the time that you came out?
Between 30 seconds and a minute, I'd say.
And when you came out of the house, do you recall which door you came out at that point?
The side door next to the garage.
And when you came out that door, who, if anyone, did you encounter as you were coming out?
As I was walking out, I saw my Uncle Brian and my Aunt Nicole.
And you were going out, and what were they doing?
They were coming in.
And in addition to your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, was there anybody else that you recall that was with them when they came into the house?
No, not that I remember.
And what, if any, exchange did you have with your uncle and your aunt as you were going out and they were coming?
I just said, I'm going home. My mom wants me home. I love you guys. Bye.
And you then went outside the house, is that correct?
Correct.
And did you see Ms. McCabe outside?
Yes.
And where was she where was her vehicle in relation to the house?
In the driveway.
Now, do you recall what type of vehicle Ms. McCabe was driving on that particular night or had at that time?
I believe it was the blue Ford that they had.
Was that a sedan? Was that an SUV? What type of vehicle?
A sedan.
And so you come out, that's in the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall whether or not it was parked on the left side or the right side of the driveway?
I do not remember.
And you get into the vehicle. Which part of the vehicle did you get into?
That I do not remember.
Wait, hold on,
Passenger side,
hold
that's
on.
all right.
Okay, you're
Could have been
saying,
that, yeah.
hold on, you're saying a sedan, and everybody else is saying that they were in an SUV. So what kind of car was your aunt in? SUV or the SUV or the sedan? That's crazy.
Do you recall whether or not there was anybody else in the vehicle at the time that you got in?
I do not remember that.
Do you recall whether or not there was anybody else in the vehicle at the time that she dropped you off at that location?
I do not remember that either.
Why
Now,
is
as far
this
as
so blurry all of a sudden?
Coming outside of the house, did you take note of anything as far as the weather or what was going on with that when you came outside?
Pretty sure it just started snowing at that time, around that time.
So the snow had just begun. Do you recall whether or not it was sticking or accumulating on the ground at that time?
I do not remember, no.
Now, you get into the car and where did you go?
She drove me right home.
So no stops along the way, just straight from Fairview to your house.
Correct.
And about how long?
Why
period
is her
how long drive?
360 say she went somewhere
Anywhere
else,
between
all
5 to
other
10 minutes.
places?
Now, as you
Freaking
were outside of the
crazy.
house walking to the car and after the car sort of backs out of the driveway and leaves, did you observe anything abnormal or unusual outside of your uncle's house that night?
No,
Did you observe any other cars outside at that time?
not that I remember.
Now, Allie has a mother and father, and you're familiar with them, is that correct?
Correct.
And what are their names?
Jennifer and Matt.
Same last name as McCabe.
Yes.
And you're familiar with what types of vehicles they have?
Yes.
When you came out of the house and got into Allie's Ford sedan, did you see any vehicle you would associate with either Jennifer or Matthew McCabe at the house at that time?
No.
And so you drive home and you go to your
Hey,
your house,
Scratch Off.
without the address.
I'm doing pretty
whereabouts
good.
in Camden,
And
were you
yourself?
living at that point?
It's right in the center of Camden near the Seasons gas station.
And is that a single-family house or a multi-family house? What?
It is a condominium.
And when Mr. K pulls in and parks, you get out, correct?
Yes.
And so in order to get into the building, is there, in order to get into your home, how is it that you get into your home when you get to the condo?
There's a door around back that I go into, and I gotta either have a key or they buzz me in, but I usually have a key, and I gotta go up 3 flights of stairs, and then we're at the top level in the condominium.
And so you have to get sort of into the building before you can get into your own unit.
Correct.
And did you notice whether or not Ms. McCabe was still there as you were, excuse me, did you notice whether or not Ms. McCabe was still out there parked when you opened the door with the key?
That I do not remember.
And you get into the condo where you get into your home, and who, if anyone, was living with you at that time?
My parents and my little brother
Your older brother was
in San Diego.
he was in service, is that correct?
Correct.
And as far as your little brother, and your father and your mother, were they home when you got home?
Yes.
And how do you know?
Because I remember my parents being up in their bedroom that night.
Good
Is
to
there any
hear.
sort of rule or sort of, for lack of a better term, a protocol as far as when you come home, where do you go sort of first thing when you walk in?
I always tell my mom and my dad that I'm home and usually go up to their bedroom, give them a hug goodnight, tell them I love them, and then go down to bed.
And did you do that on that occasion?
Yes.
So sort of immediately when you come home, you go right up to your parents' room?
Yes.
And when you got up to your parents' room on that particular evening, was both your mother and your father in their room?
Correct.
And you had that sort of exchange that you described before?
Yes.
And so your bedroom is then located downstairs from where your parents' bedroom is?
Yes.
And if you know about what time was it that you came into the house?
Don't you start doing that fucking shit, motherfucker.
I want to say around 12:20.
And fair to say this is 2.5 years ago and you weren't exactly looking at your watch when you came in, is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
And as far as being home or having that curfew around midnight or so, did you get in trouble for being late that night?
No.
I'll sustain the objection.
Stop buffering, bitch.
I'll strike that.
Now, Mr. Albert, the place that you were living at that point in the condo, how long had you been living there?
That I do not remember.
You don't remember shit that you're supposed to remember, you little punk kid.
You lived somewhere else in Canton prior to.
Yes.
Where was it that you lived?
7 Meadows Ave.
And how long did you live at 7 Meadows?
My whole entire life
Oh my God, you're gonna piss me off.
before moving to that condo.
And so all I'm sort of trying to ascertain here is, so from the time of January 28, 29, 2022, was it a long time, short time, months, weeks, years? How long had you been living at the condo?
Short time, I'd say a couple months.
And so prior to that couple of months, you had lived your whole life at 7 Meadows, correct?
Correct.
And that was a single family house, is that correct?
Yes.
And with respect to living on Meadows Ave, did you know people that lived on your street growing up?
I was
Yes.
like, why is it so
And
blurry?
At some point while you were living there, did you come to know someone by the name of John O'Keefe?
Yes.
And how did you know Mr. O'Keefe?
He lived at the top of our street.
So how many houses, if you know, were sort of in between your house and Mr. O'Keefe's?
2.
And do you know how long that Mr. O'Keefe had been living on that street?
I do not know.
And how did you know him, sort of, if you could describe sort of your relationship with your neighbor, Mr. O'Keefe?
I knew him because I knew that my parents were friendly with him. So and I knew he lived at the top of our street. That's how I know him.
This friendly shit.
And
Why
you
the
aware,
fuck does it
who
keep
anyone
going
lived
blurry?
with Mr. O'Keefe?
I know his 2 kids that he brought in, adopted, lived there, and I'm not sure who else.
Quit
And that would
fucking
have been
up.
his niece and his nephew that he adopted, correct?
Correct.
Where were they in relation to you as far as age?
A lot younger. I don't know the exact age difference, but
So you were in high school, they would have been some grade far below.
yes.
Now, as far as your relationship with Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor, about how often would it be that you would see him?
Not often. I drive by every now and then. He'd be outside and I would wave. He'd wave back. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, okay.
And during the time that you lived on
That's
Meadows Ave,
why.
a couple months subsequent to that, was there ever any animosity or any sort of
He's gonna
argument or
say
anything that you ever
no.
had with Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
And how would you describe
That's
Mr.
a
O'Keefe
lie,
with
but
respect to-
you
as
never
far
say
as- how
never.
would you describe him as
It's a
person?
lie.
A nice guy. A good guy.
Why are you blinking
Now,
so
with
much?
respect to, if I could bring you back to Fairview Road on January 28th.
Whoa, with that question, he started
Obviously, you
blinking
were
like a
familiar with Mr. O'Keefe
motherfucker.
at that point.
Yes.
And at any point in time that you were in that home, did you see Mr. O'Keefe inside the home?
No.
At any point in time that you were outside the home, going in, coming out, at any point in time did you see Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
At any point in time on the evening of January
a
28th,
little
to January
young-
29th, 2022, did you see Mr. O'Keefe anyway?
No.
And at that time, end of January 2022, were you aware of or did you know anybody by the name of Karen?
Yes.
And how did you know?
I knew that she dated Mr. O'Keefe.
And had you had any sort of prior interactions with Ms. Reed prior to January 28th?
Not that I remember. No.
Did you know what she looked like?
Not really.
As far as any interactions, would that be just sort of driving by the house?
Yeah. Maybe drive by, wave. That was about it.
He's definitely a drinker, that's for sure. Oh, now we're gonna itch. Oh, I love it when they start fucking freaking out.
Yes.
Hurry, don't look, hurry, don't look, scratch.
Now, as far as that sort of reaching out to Ms. McCabe on
Then
that
he
particular
looks over
evening,
at
is that something
the
that,
jury. I hope they didn't see
you
me
had done
do
before?
that.
is that something that sort of you and your friend group did together, as far as if somebody was out driving around and somebody else was maybe drinking somewhere?
He
they could
sure got a
contact
lot
that
of stress
Yes,
going
correct.
on.
That was as opposed to somebody drinking and then getting behind the wheel and driving, correct?
Exactly.
Now we're gonna
Now,
start
sir,
sniffing like your
um,
dad.
At some point in July of 2023, did you have occasion to meet with any
To
troopers
every
from safety in
question
regards to that
now
evening of
about the
January 28th, 29th?
decedent. He starts itching
Say the
and
date again.
scratching.
At some point in July of 2023, did you meet with any troopers from the state police?
No.
At some point subsequent to that date of January 28th, 29th, did you meet?
My brother
with
had a
any
lot of
troopers from the
friends
state
like
police?
that.
Yes.
And you were asked questions and you answered them, is that correct?
Correct.
And following that conversation or interview that
Itching
you
and
had with
scratching.
troopers from the
Itching
state
and
police,
scratching.
what, if anything, did you provide them with reference to your phone?
I mean, he's making me
Um,
itchy.
Can you rephrase that?
Fucking doing
Sorry.
all that
At
shit.
some point, did you provide them with a screenshot of a text communication between yourself and Ms. McCabe?
Yes.
And was that something that you took a screenshot on your own phone and then were able to then provide it to them?
Correct.
Now, may I approach?
Yes.
The faces. Hurry up, he's gonna be scratching here in a minute. Oh fuck, the faces. I forgot about the
Do
faces.
you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
What do you recognize that?
My text messages between Allie that night.
And what's contained on that, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you recall as far as the text messages, what was on your phone, as far as what you took a screenshot of the text messages between you and Alan McCabe that night?
Yes, sir.
May I approach again, Your Honor? Yes. I'm going to seek to introduce in a minute.
Mr. Jackson? Sure.
Damn it! Don't take the fucking camera off of him. How the fuck am I supposed to know if he's fucking freaking out or not? Oh yeah, they're examining those text messages. I don't fucking blame them. Shit.
No objection. Thank
All
you.
right. And jurors, remember the instruction I gave you about the text messages. Thank you. Okay.
Read to the 84 one.
May I approach this return to
Yes.
with court permission, may I post this for the
We
jury?
don't want to look at that. That's filled with bullshit.
So what's up on
Oh
the screen is that you have
shit.
40 Exhibit 84.
Yes.
And the contact that's listed at the top states out. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that how you had the GA programmed into your phone?
Correct.
And from this, there's two sets of communications, one containing blue bubbles and one.
Why are you only showing
Yes.
fucking some of it, not all of it? Why aren't you
That's
showing
me.
the whole thread, motherfucker?
Is that correct?
Correct.
There's also
Shit.
times that are stamped or associated with these text bubbles and with text.
Show the whole motherfucking
Yes.
If I
thread.
could direct your attention, maybe easier if you're looking at the paper in front of you.
Oh,
So
you
it's starting from
dirty
the top, January 28, 2022.
Bullshit.
If you could read for the jury what the content is, what time is, and indicate who is communicating.
Thank you.
At 11:54, I texted Allie and said, "You can get me now." Period. At 11:54, I texted her again and said, "If easier." At 11:55, Allie texted me back and said, "Okay, I am driving people home now." At 11:55, I said, "Word." And then at 11:55, I said, "Get me after." At 11:55,
You wasn't
Allie
fucking
wrote back
home at
KK.
12:10,
And then at 12:10
motherfucker.
a.m., Allie
Or
wrote here.
12:15, you
And at
little
12:10
white bitch.
a.m., I wrote back, "Okay."
Please come in, you can take that. And Your Honor, may I approach this to retrieve the exhibit?
Yes.
Where's the metadata?
Now, sir, with
You
respect,
accept
to,
fucking
um,
screenshots as
That
evidence.
last communication that she sent,
Fucking
as far as okay,
weirdo.
how long after that
Wow.
message was sent did you then go out to the car where Allie was?
Right after, I'd say around 30 seconds.
And Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes.
I swear to God, if a fucking prosecutor ever fucking
Sir,
said,
I'm
"Oh,
showing
I'm
you what's been
entering
marked as
a
exhibits 82
screenshot
and
into
83, and
evidence,"
just asked you to
I
take a look
would.
at those in the cover.
Ooh. I would be like, lawyer,
And do you recognize those, sir?
Yep.
What do you recognize those?
go to war over
say
that.
that- say that
shit.
again.
Don't
What is in the
accept
photo?
that.
A picture of me and my aunt and a picture of
Okay,
by
the
myself.
picture looks
And,
photoshopped, by the way. Oh
recall
yeah,
sort of,
quit
when those
itching,
photographs were taken.
itching, scratching.
yes, February 11th.
Jesus
And why is
Christ!
it that you recall
What
that
are
well, let me ask
what?
you,
You
as far as
got
February
stress
11th
going
was
on?
concerned, where
What's
were you
going
that
on,
day?
homie?
I was at my uncle's house.
And why were you at your uncle's house on that?
My cousin was coming home for leave from the Marine Corps, so we had a little gathering for him.
And just to be clear, when you say your uncle, you're talking about your uncle Brian Albert again?
Correct.
Your cousin that was coming home from the Marines, what's his name?
Jack Albert.
Sure.
And so on that evening, you were over that house, is that correct?
Correct.
And
Little punk.
the first picture in exhibit, I believe it's 82, is that correct? You and your aunt Nicole?
Correct.
And what's contained on there is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of what you look like as far as your arms, your hands, your face, all of those things
No.
on that date of February
No,
11th.
it was
Correct.
photoshopped. You
The
can
second
tell it's
photograph is again
fucking
you by yourself, is that
photoshopped.
correct?
And there's
Correct.
no metadata
And
to
from
back
that photograph,
that
again, is that
shit
fair and
up,
accurate portrayal? What you look like on
motherfucker.
February 11th.
Yes.
And from the second photograph in, if you know, where was that taken within the home of your uncle?
In the library
This
at
is-
34 Fairview.
This is some
And
sketchy
again, that
bullshit.
library or any of the other rooms within the house beyond the kitchen, the dining room, or possibly the restroom, did you go into any other areas of the house on that night of January 28th into January 29th?
No.
May I approach this retreat? Your Honor?
Yes.
No, because I'm a little bitch.
One
No.
moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
She's gonna stop you for the day, buddy. And then we gotta come. We
And
gotta
Mr.
go
Albert,
to
just one last
the-
question. When it came to your arrival at 34 Fairview Road on the evening of, or the early morning of January 29th, when you were leaving, beyond your Uncle Brian and your Aunt Nicole, did you see anybody else older than yourself or anybody else related to that group come into the house that evening?
No.
I'm not.
Look at him look over.
Mr. Jackson, do you want to begin or wait until
up,
It
down?
probably makes more sense to wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh yeah,
Probably
cross
wait
is
until the jury-
fucking right after
The
this.
jurors leave, and then you can follow them. All right, jurors, I do have to caution you, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Do not do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Tomorrow's
Who
a-
cares? I gotta get fucking day 13, motherfucker. Blow it out your ass. Yeah, thank you. Stop that shit.
Vote is in session.
22117 Commonwealth versus Karen Read. Counsel?
All right, counsel wanted to see me at sidebar.
We don't need to be seen at sidebar, Your Honor, but I do need to be seen about an issue from yesterday.
I'd like to be heard.
Well, yes, I would.
Okay, I'll hear you. What is it about?
Your Honor, we are not only renewing our objection to the alleged harassment evidence that came in yesterday, but we're specifically moving to strike that testimony and specifically asking the court to get started today.
Because it has nothing to do with her.
Disregard that evidence. And I wanted to point out to the court that in our view, we didn't even come close to opening the door to that evidence. I had just asked the witness if she has turned over those text messages to the state police when she spoke to them on August 25th of 2023. I've asked every witness when was the first time that they spoke to the state police. That was
Yeah,
the first
drop
time
your
I
link,
spoke to
Ivo.
the state police. None of that conversation had anything to do with harassment whatsoever. It was strictly related to the death of John O'Keefe and the investigation of John O'Keefe. I stayed completely clear of any discussion of harassment whatsoever. I only focused on the federal grand jury and the approach by the state police on August 25. I opened no door. I didn't even approach the door. And yet that evidence came in. It led to a moment where, that Mr.
It's
which is
totally fine.
put down on the stand,
Totally
sorry
fine.
for themselves to gain sympathy before this jury. It was prejudicial to our client. It was prejudicial to our defense. It is error, and we're asking the court to correct it.
All right,
Shit,
what do you say,
we all
Kamala?
got to help each other
Your Honor,
out.
counsel absolutely opened the door
You
as
know?
far as the questioning was concerned. It was not just the characterization of the questioning is just simply inaccurate. As far as the questions that were posed to the witness, it was more geared towards why, implying that
Oh
the
my
witness only
God,
provided this
shut up.
after
You
testifying at the end of the
say
proceeding or
you
being
opened the door,
questioned
not
about it in that
fucking
environment. That's the only
Yanni.
reason that she
That
had
was
these
some
messages,
bullshit.
and why hadn't she turned these messages over earlier? And that is in direct response to the harassment that that witness and her entire
Stop
family,
it.
as well
It
as Mr. Albert, had
wasn't.
sustained
Stop
as a
it.
result of actions
Stop it.
by several different parties, including counsel. So for those reasons, it was proper. There was nothing, I don't think it was more than 5 minutes of testimony concerning it, and it was because counsel opened the door to it.
Okay, thank you. All right,
He
so
didn't
Ms.
open the
Giannetti, I remember
fucking
clearly the
door.
lines of inquiry that you initiated.
Such
So
lies.
I disagree with you in
You're
the
such a
strongest way
fucking
possible. You've
biased
made your record.
motherfucking bitch.
Your motion's
Swear to
denied.
God.
Okay, so let's bring in the jurors, please.
I wouldn't be having that fucking one-sided bullshit. I can't. This is why I fucking. Ugh.
Jim.
Come on. Hey. Okay, since this is gonna get good, I need to go smoke because it's about to get good. I'm in the chat, but yeah, this is about to get good. Put that little punk in his place. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, shit. I would be too. You know, during her jury selection, she looks better, but you never know. You never know. But this is about to get good. Fucking good. Shut up, Cash App. Tell me I don't want to pay StreamYards. They're too expensive.
Court, all rise the jury.
Hey, I'm in the chat.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All parties having anything to do before the Honorable First Justice Beverly Cannoni, now sitting in the Dedham Superior Court, in for the County of Norfolk, draw near, give your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth, Mr. Court. Thank you. May be seated. Court now session.
22117 Commonwealth versus Karen Read.
All right, good morning, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed.
Good morning, jurors. So I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this with anyone since we left yesterday?
Yes.
Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case?
Yes.
Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left the other day? Yes or no? Thank you very much. Everyone said no or shook their heads.
All right, may we have Mr. Albert, please?
Step on here. You may say anything correct. Raise your hand. You solemnly swear the evidence you report and jury in the case down here to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Albert, who did you talk to in order to prepare for your testimony starting yesterday?
Can you rephrase that question, please?
Phrase the question. You didn't understand my question?
No.
Who did you speak to in order to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
My lawyer.
Other than your lawyer, who did you speak to prepare for your testimony yesterday?
No one.
You didn't speak to your parents?
No.
You didn't speak to your mom, your dad?
Nope.
At any time before yesterday about your testimony or your statements?
Nope.
Did you discuss with your parents their testimony?
No.
So after they got off the witness stand, your dad didn't come home and say, here's how my day went?
No.
Mom didn't come home and say, here's how my day went?
Nope.
The Albert family just ignored the fact that both of them testified in court of law before a jury about the events of January 29th, 2022. Nothing was ever said?
No.
Did you talk to Mr. Lally at any point before yesterday in preparation for your testimony?
Before yesterday, you said?
Right.
Yes.
Tell me when.
I want to say a month ago about.
What did you talk about?
I got prepped for this.
Tell me what that means. What does it mean to prep for this?
What I'm going to be getting asked.
Okay. Remember my first question, very first question this morning? I said, have you spoken to anybody in order to prepare for your testimony? And you said no.
Yeah.
So that's not true. You spoke to Mr. Lally.
Okay. Yes.
It's not okay. It's yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You said that was about a month ago, correct?
Correct. Around a month ago.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
Around a month ago. That's it.
Tell me what you and Mr. Lally discussed. Can
The questions I would be asked here.
you be more detailed?
I don't remember everything he said.
Did he go over the questions that he believed he would ask?
I believe so.
Did you give him answers to those questions that you believed you would give in response to his questions?
Yes.
What questions did he tell you he was going to ask?
I don't remember.
What answers did you tell him you were going to give?
I don't remember.
That was just a month ago, right?
Yes.
Obviously, you've been thinking about this case quite a bit, haven't you?
Yeah.
Over the last 2.5 years.
No.
How long have you been thinking about this case?
Since people started writing about me on the internet.
How about since you were at a house where an individual ended up dead on the lawn the next morning? Did that prompt you to start thinking about this case?
No.
Not so much, huh?
Nope.
Did you speak with, when Mr. Lally spoke with you, who else was there?
The witness advocate, I believe, and
Steve Nelson?
yes.
Who else?
And is it Sergeant Tully, I believe?
Tully, T-U-L-L-Y?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not that I remember.
Sergeant Tully taking notes while you were having this conversation with Mr. Lally?
I do not remember.
Mr. Lally taking notes?
I do not remember.
Do you remember being told by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally that your conversation was being recorded?
I do not remember.
How long was that meeting?
Say 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Were you given any instructions by either Sergeant Tully or Mr. Lally about your preparation for your testimony?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. Did they give you any instructions about the preparation for your testimony? How they wanted you to answer questions? That's
No.
the tenor of your testimony.
No.
How they wanted you to dress, for instance?
No.
Other than that time a month ago, have you spoken with Mr. Lally or anybody from the DA's office since then, before yesterday?
No.
You watched any coverage of this case online?
Nope.
No social media?
No, I don't have social media.
No news, coverage?
Nope.
Nightly news, Channel 25, Channel 5?
No.
National news?
Nope.
Blogs?
Nope.
So literally, according to you, you know zero about media coverage concerning this case, Commonwealth versus Karen.
Correct.
Did you talk to Allie before her testimony?
No.
When was the last time you did talk to Allie before she testified yesterday?
I don't remember.
Give me an idea. She's one of your best friends. A week ago, a day ago, a month ago.
I do not remember.
Could have been a year ago.
I do not remember.
Could have been 5 years ago.
No.
So it's more recently than 5 years ago that you spoke with Allie.
I don't remember.
So you have no independent recollection as you sit here. The last time you talked to one of your best friends and your cousin about any subject.
No, I don't remember.
Were you ever told in preparation for your testimony, if you start to get stumped or nervous, just say, I don't remember?
Nope.
Nobody ever told you that?
Mm-mm. No. No, sorry.
It's okay. So nobody ever informed you that you might get nervous on the witness stand, there might be tough questions. Easiest way to get out of that is just say, yeah, I don't recall.
No.
So you just don't recall because your memory is that bad. You literally don't recall the last time you spoke with Allie.
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Your testimony is you were not instructed to say, I don't remember. You just literally don't remember.
Correct.
It's an issue with your memory, not an instruction that you received.
Correct.
Right. But you do remember 2.5 years ago, You left 34 Fairview at 12:10 a.m., correct? Down to the minute.
Correct.
Did Mr. Lally, during this meeting that y'all had, did Mr. Lally show you anything? Items of evidence, photographs, videos, anything like that?
No,
Did you two talk about any evidence that you might see? Photographs, documents, videos?
not that I remember.
He didn't show you the series of text messages between you and Ms. McCabe, Allie?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you're not saying he didn't. You're just saying, again, you just don't remember.
Correct.
And this was just a month ago.
The month. Correct.
Could have been sooner than a month. All right, let me ask that a different way. Could have been more recently than a month.
I don't know.
Don't know that either.
Is that no?
Yeah, no.
So, Mr. Albert, you have to answer yes or no, not just.
All right, sorry.
Where were you when this meeting a month ago took place?
At the DA's office on Shawmut Road.
Who contacted you to come to the DA's office?
I do not remember that.
Don't remember that either.
No.
Phone call from Mr. Lally, maybe?
I don't believe that I received a phone call. Maybe my lawyer did or my father, but I don't know. I don't believe I did.
So if your father received a phone call and then told you need to go to the DA's office to meet with Mr. Lally, that would be a conversation with your dad about your preparation for your testimony, correct?
I wouldn't say so, no.
You would categorize that as such?
No.
Okay. Because, of course, even though you went to the DA's office to meet Mr. Lally and a sergeant from the Massachusetts State Police to talk about your testimony, you didn't mention that to your dad?
No.
You mentioned that to your mom?
No.
And when you got done with that meeting, Dad didn't ask you, how'd it go, son?
Nope.
Your mom didn't say, how was that meeting?
No.
About this massive murder case.
Objection.
Let me ask you a different way. Do you consider this to be a high-profile murder case?
Objection.
Stand on relevancy, ask it to me.
In your mind, this is an important case, correct? Obviously.
Correct.
But according to you, it just never comes up in the Albert household.
No.
Okay. You were asked to look at a couple of text messages yesterday. It's a little bit like this. You seen that before?
Yes.
When did you see that before?
Yesterday.
Before yesterday? Had you ever seen that before?
On my phone, yeah.
Okay. Other than on your phone when you made the screenshot, had you ever seen that before? Mr. Lally ever showed it to you?
Not that I remember, no.
So you two didn't discuss that in your meeting a month or less ago?
We could have. I don't remember.
But again, you don't remember.
Mm-mm.
Is that no?
No.
Did Mr. Lally tell you why he wanted to question you about those text messages?
I don't remember.
Did Mr. Lally tell you anything about what you might be asked on cross-examination?
No.
Did he ask you about any videos that you've ever posted?
No.
Did he ask you about any comments you've ever made online?
Nope.
Any photos you've ever been in?
No.
Any fights you've ever been in?
That's okay.
Courtney Proctor.
Hold on, little dude. That's my biggest problem with this. Like, why do you have to bring in screenshots and not give the police your phone to like look at, stuff like that? Them take a picture of the motherfucker. It concerns me. Where's the freaking metadata? If you have nothing to hide, you should be like, here, take my phone. I think it's bullshit. And I think it's bullshit that they allowed this in as evidence. They should have never allowed it. If I was ever on trial, if they brought in screen motherfucking shots, I swear to you, I would be like, go in. Go in. Do not, no, we're not standing for that. I mean, shit, even the Sallyport video where her car was stored, they don't even have metadata for that. All this shit it screams doctored. It screams fucking doctored to me. It really does. It really does. It's just out of this, ugh, so irritating.
And
she's got to do this all over again. This is fucking crazy.
She's friendly with my aunt, Jillian.
I'm sorry?
My aunt Jillian, she's friendly with.
When you say friendly with, describe that. What do you mean by friendly with?
I know that they're pretty friendly.
Have you ever been Courtney Proctor's home?
Yes.
How many times would you say over the years?
That's what they're saying. They're saying, no, we never talked about it. Or, well, his aunt's going to get on the stand and say, yeah, we talked about it. That was my dear friend because, she's the one that, started all this hiding shit to protect them. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It gets worse after him. I mean, once she hits the stand, oh my fucking God. I'm not looking forward to that testimony because that girl drove me nuts. She was evasive. She was worse than, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know my hand from my asshole type shit. You know what I mean? I'd rather deal with this than her. And she, just wait.
4 or 5, maybe.
Her family is close to your family, it's fair to say.
Not that close. Close though.
When you say not that close, but close though, what does that mean?
I'd say we're more close when I was younger, not when I got older.
Okay. How old are you now? You're 20?
Correct.
You're on. May I approach you? Okay. The photo I'd like to show Mr. Wilder first. Ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. Take a look at that photo. And tell me if you recognize it. Just look at it to yourself, please. Let me know if you can study it for a second.
Yep.
You recognize the photo?
Yes.
Who's in that photo?
Objection.
So the objection sustained is to the content of the photos. Did you want to come to sidebar and explain this to me?
Oh my God, this fucking goddamn. Yeah, they try to distance themselves between each other, all this other shit. It's just weird. And when you got one a police officer in the family and the other's a select boardman for the town, it's disgusting. It's political. They're trying to hide their own from being like bad. And the select boardman did a drunk driving hit and run type shit, and it killed somebody. So I mean, and that's his dad. And I think they're going to the extent to just hide them, like, oh, we're a good family. You know, that was the past. This is now. You know, his uncle was a big shot on Boston's Finest, the police show. And this family believes this shit. The whole family believes this shit. It is crazy to me. I would be so pissed they didn't do a thorough investigation. They didn't memorialize the scene. They didn't keep control of freaking chain of custody. It's just bad. They're letting in screenshots and all this other dumb shit. So you don't know if that motherfucking photo's been doctored or the text messages doctored. I've never in my life, ever in my life, if they allow screenshots in, it's usually the cops taking screenshots on their phone. This is just fucking crazy. From like social media. That's about it. Like there was other ways. If he didn't want to hand over his phone, they could have fucking took pictures of his phone. It just, and with the ride that he says that came and got him, her Life 360 data says something totally different. Says something totally different than what the fuck she was saying. But that's wrong, huh? Because of the Wi-Fi? Fuck out of here. They just don't want to admit to anything. And then when they get caught, they're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I've been harassed and bullied. Okay, everybody gets bullied online. Welcome to fucking America. Welcome to the United States. Where people feel like they don't have to, you know, watch their mouth with somebody that they don't know because they don't know.
Objection.
No, we can get that, but we'll answer that question.
Oh, you're
10 years or less ago, I'd say. I don't.
Oh my God, shut up.
You were the ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, were you not?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Correct.
So when you say we're friendly,
see, and
we're close, but not that close. You were actually close enough.
They have close ties to the lead investigator in this fucking case. That's another reason. And the lead investigator lost his job. They also did an audit on the police for the little town Canton, and well, let's just say that you know, they didn't follow proper protocol when they investigated this case. And this is a fucking police officer. This was supposed to be one of their own. You know, usually when they have an officer down, everybody comes flying in. They didn't do that in this case.
Member of her wedding party when she was married to her now husband, correct?
When I was younger, correct?
Well, of course it was when you were younger. It was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yeah.
That's my question. So for at least a decade, your family and the Proctor family has been close enough such that you and Albert were in her wedding, correct?
Objection.
Ask that differently, Mr. Jackson.
For the last, well, at least at that time, 10 years ago, your family was close enough to the Proctor family such that you were a ring bearer in Courtney Proctor's wedding, right?
Yep.
Correct.
And who's Courtney Proctor's brother?
Michael Proctor.
And is Michael Proctor in the photograph that you're looking at?
Yes.
Person on the
Michael
far left,
Proctor is the fucking lead investigator.
Correct.
looks like he's in a tuxedo.
Correct.
You were also in a tuxedo.
Objection.
Sustained.
What I'm getting at is you all were part of the same wedding party, correct?
Correct.
And that's a photograph of Courtney Proctor's wedding and the entire wedding party, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is that a photograph of a wedding party?
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Fucking bullshit. Fucking judge is biased as fuck. I don't understand. Oh, they're getting somewhere, so we better not. We better not. We better not. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Robert, I want you to look at that one more time. Both you and Michael Proctor are depicted in the photograph, correct?
Correct.
How long have you known Michael Proctor?
Since I was a little kid.
And you've known him well enough to know, I don't want you to tell me or tell the jurors, but you know where he lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
You consider the Proctor family close to your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the course of, for instance, just as an example, during the course of this event,
Yeah, I
joyous
should
event
be
at
on
the
that
wedding,
one tonight.
you actually sat at the head table along with the Proctor family because you were given the honor of being ring bearer in Courtney's wedding, correct?
Correct.
And you know, of course, that is being in a wedding party is reserved for those special family members and friends, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
In your mind,
There
is
is.
that a special honor?
Objection.
Is that what you thought when you were little? When you were in that?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay.
And you were never interviewed by Canton Police Department in connection with this case, correct?
Nope.
How many times were you interviewed by the
He
Massachusetts
was
State
left out of
Police
the
in connection with
fucking
this case?
goddamn thing
Once.
for a year and
That
a
was in
half.
July of 2023, correct?
Shit.
I don't remember exactly when it was.
About a year and a half after the events in question. Is that right?
Exactly.
Around there.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection
They
if you
just,
saw a
you
copy
know,
of the report?
conveniently left you out the fucking goddamn report.
Sure, yeah.
May I approach on?
Yes.
Fucking bullshit. If it was you, me, or anybody else, we wouldn't get that privilege. Come on. Fucking dirty cops.
Look at paragraph 1.
They're
It's
not
in the
all
middle of
dirty,
paragraph.
but
You'll
the
read that
dirty
yourself,
ones,
please.
fuck them.
Got that?
Yeah.
You saw the July
You got
18th
too
date,
much power
Yes.
and
2023?
control.
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that that was the first time you were interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police?
Correct.
May I approach on?
Yes.
Thank you. Who conducted that interview?
Michael Proctor and one of his partners, I believe. I don't remember.
Michael Proctor was the lead investigator that interviewed you, correct?
Correct.
That's the same Michael Proctor that appears on the far left of the photo of that wedding party, correct?
Correct.
Did you find that interview, by the way, how long did the interview last? Michael Proctor.
I do not remember.
Do you remember testifying at one point that it was about 10 minutes?
No.
You testified at a different hearing, a different proceeding, not this proceeding, one other time, correct?
Oh, it's.
Correct.
I can't wait. I can't wait till they bring in the fight. Shit.
May I approach?
Yes.
I can't wait.
I need a foundational question first. I apologize. It's my fault, Mr. Albert. Do you believe that it would refresh your recollection as to the length of that first interview?
It does
you
show that
received
he
in
has a
testimony from
fighting
prior proceeding?
temper. Like he likes to
Yeah.
get drunk and call on people. So it's not far fetched that they think that he was part of it. Part of getting
Take a look at this, and I'm going to direct your
not
attention to
John
line
O'Keefe.
18 and 19.
He damn sure wasn't
transcript.
by no fucking car. I ain't never seen no car accident like that before in my life where they just
Is that yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
their arm busted or
Does that refresh your
like,
recollection?
give me a break.
Yes.
How long was that interview?
Going 20 miles an hour.
Which interview are you?
The interview that you had with Michael Proctor. That's what that question was about, that you just read.
I still don't remember.
You recall that it says, did you testify? Question, how long did
Objection.
the interview last for?
Objection sustained where his memory is
Stop
not
with
refreshed.
the
You can do this differently.
Freaking
Remember.
objections.
Did this refresh
Quit
your recollection?
saving
That's the
it.
question and answer, how you answered the question, how long that interview lasted.
Yes.
Did you say 10 minutes?
Yes.
Wow,
So
10
during the course
minutes?
of that 10-minute conversation that you had with Michael Proctor, what was the tone of that interview? You understand what I mean by tone?
I do not understand.
Okay. Was it hostile and accusatory?
Not that I remember. No.
Was it antagonistic or confrontational?
Can you use different words, please?
Sure. Was he being mean?
Oh, wow.
He was being nice, right?
Wow.
Professional, I'd say.
You don't know what
That was your life,
antagonistic
right?
means, you little
He was friendly,
rat.
cordial,
You're an antagonist.
Correct.
and the interview was comfortable.
Say it again.
The interview was comfortable.
Correct.
You didn't feel like you were on the hot seat.
No.
You like to antagonize motherfuckers. You should know what that word is. What up, Dark? How are you?
Did you find that the interview with Michael Proctor was consistent with the relationship that you've had with him your whole life? Meaning, he's always been friendly to you. He was just as friendly in that conversation.
Didn't
Not
even
really,
act
no.
like an
How was he
investigator, huh?
I'd say more professional.
Bullshit.
Obviously, he was doing a job, correct?
Correct.
But when you walked in, you
Professional,
recognized him.
whatever.
Yes.
He recognized you.
Yes.
You made natural greetings with one another, correct?
Correct.
Questioned you about a few things.
Correct.
He didn't look at your phone. He didn't ask to take your phone away from you.
No.
He didn't ask to seize your phone or seize any other physical items from you.
No.
He
He didn't ask
wasn't
to come down to the police station and sit
investigating.
in an interview room, an interrogation room, were you?
No.
In fact, where did the conversation take place for those 10 minutes?
In the DA's office on Shawmut Road.
DA's office on Shawmut Road. Who else was there other than Trooper Proctor and his partner at the time, Trooper Clark?
Can you
Who else was there? Was it just Trooper Proctor, Michael Proctor, and Clark?
Yes.
Okay, so just the three.
Yes.
And Trooper Proctor was the one that was sort of leading the conversation.
Yes.
And when it was done, he said, "You're free to go."
Ooh, yummy.
Correct.
What are you
Did he take
making
your phone?
tomorrow?
He didn't ask you to look at any text messages.
Nope.
He didn't look through your phone.
Or you?
Nope.
He
Never
didn't take
mind.
any screenshots or videos of your phone or the contents of your phone.
Nope.
Just let you walk out.
Correct.
Your Honor, may I publish the photo?
Why don't you come over here for just 1 second?
May I have that, please?
Oh my God. All these damn sidebars. Fucking irritating as fuck. How much longer is this little punk on? Oh, they don't take a break at all? They don't take a break at all? I thought they took a break. Oh, there we go. At like one. So an hour. And then how long is Matt McCabe on for? He starts at 2:39. About an hour. Hour and a half.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Albert, I'm going to shift gears for a quick second. On July 27th, you and your attorney appeared at a hearing in a separate proceeding, correct?
I don't.
Let me ask it a different way. You testified at a different proceeding, not this trial, but a different proceeding.
Correct.
Okay. You appeared under oath. You appeared with your lawyer. You gave testimony, and that's part of what you looked at a second.
Correct.
But when you met with Michael Proctor, you did not feel the need to take an attorney with you. It was just you, Michael Proctor, and investigator Clark.
Which
correct?
is
That's
weird.
sustained.
You
Well,
were
it's
asked yesterday
weird.
about certain texts with your cousin Allie, correct?
Correct.
Allie is obviously family.
Yes.
But she's more than family. She's also a good friend of yours.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, she's one of your best friends.
Correct.
And at your age, this is not meant to be pejorative, but we're different generations. At your age, your most convenient way of communicating is through text messages, correct?
Correct.
I mean, if you're going to grab a buddy, say, let's meet at the such and such ball field or whatever, you're going to text them, probably not call
Either or.
them. Okay. But texting is pretty common between you and your friends.
Yes.
Ooh,
Texting is certainly common
yummy.
between you and Allie. You've already seen evidence, of that, right?
Yes.
That
And
sounds
that's
good.
generally how you like to communicate with Allie.
I'd say so. Yeah.
In fact, when you reached out to her for a ride,
Well, yeah.
there were like 8 text
Take a
messages back and
break.
forth just for a pickup, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, just one ride.
Sure.
Come on, get into the fight video. I mean, the whatever, the calling people on. To pull up, bitch.
May I approach her?
Yes.
Get that video going. Let's go.
Copy of 81. I just want you to have that in front of you. Your Honor, with
That's part
permission,
of this
please place
ritual crime.
exhibit 81 on the screen.
Okay.
Bang, bang. I'm going to fuck you up. Is that it? Is this it?
Your Honor, may I approach? I'm going to use the L mark, so
Okay. Is there an objection to that?
Man.
No, no.
may I have that back?
I thought you meant approach over here.
Oh.
Do you want the Commonwealth to pull it? Mr. Jackson, do you want the Commonwealth to pull it up for you?
I'd be happy to, Your Honor. It's fine.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Ms. Gilman.
Yeah, because that's weird. That's like not even showing up. Why doesn't the
Yes.
video tech guy have it? Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I told
You
you.
see what's displayed on the screen?
Yes.
It's only part of the text string, but does that look like it's an accurate representation of what you're looking at?
Yes.
And this is a series of texts on
That's
January 28th
weird.
and 29th of 2022.
Hold
Is that right?
on, hold on. 12
Yes.
So
a.m.
you
and
need
then
something
it
as simple
switches
as a
to
ride.
11?
You're just asking Ali to give you a ride. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's because you said
That
that
is weird.
it's common for you guys to text back and forth. You just texted her, hey, you can get me now.
Hold
Is that right?
on. Wait.
Yes.
And then you texted
Wait,
if it's easier.
motherfucker.
And then she said, okay, I'm dropping people off. And there was an exchange back and forth. Is that right?
Yeah.
And there were at least 8 texts between the two of you, if you just count them up real quick, just about getting picked up.
Yeah.
How does it go
If you scroll
from
down a
12
bit,
a.m.?
After the end of that text string, at 12:10 a.m., it says, okay. You see the next date?
Yes.
What date is that?
February
Go
20th.
back up.
That's nearly a month later, correct?
Correct.
So there was a gap after January 29th, 2022, when you found out that a man had ended up dead on your uncle's lawn. They did not text each other
Yeah,
for a month,
that is
not
weird.
once.
that
Objection.
is so freaking
Sustained
weird.
is to that form. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true that on January 29th, later in the day, you found out about John
But why
O'Keefe?
even on
and his condition?
January
Go back and
29th?
Objection.
Hold
Is
on,
that true?
hold on. You guys missed that. Like you're not looking at the full text. How come it says Mikey's making me a shotgun at 12 something a.m.? Hello, 12 something a.m. on January 28th. And then it switches to 11 p.m. You guys ain't catching on to that. Anyways, I mean,
Did you find out that day?
Yes.
Okay.
maybe I'm
So you were
maybe
well
I'm
aware
fucking
of-
tripping. Let me see.
we can take that down. You were well. You see what's displayed on the screen?
Yes.
It's only part of
See?
the text string. But it doesn't look like it's an
12:17
accurate representation of
a.m.
what you're looking at.
12
Yes.
And this is a
17
series of
a.m.
texts,
Then it
on about
goes
January
to
28th and 29th of 2022. Is that right?
bullshit.
Yes.
And Mr. Ali, you needed something as
They
simple as
changed
a
the
ride.
date
You're
on
just
that
asking Ali to give you a ride. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's because you said that it's common for you guys to text back and forth. You just texted her, hey, you can get me now. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you
Okay,
texted
I
if it's
wasn't
easier,
tripping. I
and then
thought
she
I
said,
was
okay, I'm dropping
tripping.
people off, and there was an exchange back and
I
forth. Is that
wasn't
right?
tripping.
And there were at least 8
But it
texts
won't show the
between
day
the two of you.
before.
Just count them up real quick. Just about
That's
getting
just
picked up.
weird to me.
If you scroll down a little bit,
That's why
At
you
the end of that
don't.
text
don't
string,
that's
that
why
ends
you
12:10
don't let
a.m.,
them
it says,
bring
okay.
screenshots
See the next
to
date?
the fucking shit.
Yes.
what date is that?
February 20th.
That's nearly a month later, correct?
Correct.
Is
So there was
this
a gap
from the? Is this from
after
the FBI
January 29th,
or the
2022.
Senate investigation?
when you found out that a man had ended up dead on your uncle's lawn. And you and Ali did not text each
No,
other
feds are sneaky.
for a month.
They don't need your
not
goddamn
once.
phone.
Objection.
Sustained is to that form. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true that
They just
on
corroborate.
January 29th, later in the day, you found out about John O'Keefe?
That's no more
and his
than you
condition?
fucking think.
Objection.
Is that true?
That's what's sad.
Did you find out that day?
Yes.
Okay.
So you were well aware of, we can take that down. You were well aware, Mr. Albert, that something very tragic had happened at your uncle's house, Brian Albert's house, right?
Correct.
And you were aware that you had been at your uncle's house that night, right?
Correct.
You're also aware that, according to you, Allie McCabe was the one that picked you up and took you from that location.
Correct.
And notwithstanding the fact of this tragedy, you and Allie didn't text each other
Yeah, that's weird.
for a
That
month.
is weird.
Is that right?
I don't think that's correct.
So where are those texts?
We text on other platforms too. So I'd say other apps.
So is there a reason why you decided for the next month to just switch platforms to maybe Snapchat?
Mhm.
I'll allow it.
No reason.
Are you sure that you switched platforms?
I'd say so, yeah.
Why did you switch platforms?
We go back and forth, I'd say, between platforms texting.
You switched platforms because you know that Snapchat deletes all communications, correct?
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Do you know that Snapchat has an auto delete function on it?
If your app is set to that, yes.
Your app was set to that way.
I do not remember that.
So again, your memory is failing you.
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Once again, your memory is failing you. You just don't
Objection.
remember.
Objection.
Come on,
Ask it
dude.
differently, Mr. Jackson.
Isn't it true, Mr. Albert,
Just answer the freaking message. I mean,
that you
the
either switched
question.
platforms or deleted the texts because you did not want your text communications with
This,
Allie?
I don't recall. I don't remember. It makes you look
Is that right?
not true.
sus.
So where are those
That's my
communications?
problem. It makes you look sus.
I do not know.
Can't produce them right now, can you?
I'm not sure.
So in the days,
There's more.
hours, days, and
I wish
weeks
they would
following
add
the death of John O'Keefe,
more.
your
You
communications with
never
your
know.
best friend,
Maybe
Alan,
after this is
the
over, they
person who gave you a
might.
ride home that night, they're just gone.
I'm not sure.
See, here we go.
You testified that you
You
provided
can't
Exhibit
talk
81, what
about
we're just looking at,
anything
you're
that
still looking
happened
at in
that
front of
day,
you,
huh?
as a screenshot of your communications
Water.
on January 29th, 2022 with Ally McCabe, correct? It was a screenshot.
You say that again? Sorry.
So
You provided
stupid.
that item as a screenshot, not as an actual text to law enforcement. Is that right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Do you know what a screenshot is?
Yes.
What's a screenshot?
When you take a picture on your phone.
That's a picture from your phone.
Yes.
Okay. So it is a screenshot.
Yes, it is a screenshot.
Okay. That's my question. When you met with Michael Proctor in that interview that lasted 10 minutes, Michael Proctor did not get the actual texts underlying that screenshot, did he?
No.
He never looked for those actual texts, did he?
No.
He never asked you for those actual texts, did he?
No.
And you never volunteered to give him those actual texts, did you?
I think I volunteered to, yeah.
On that day?
Oh, no, not on that day. No.
Not on that day. You know what a phone extraction is?
Not familiar.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a phone imaging or a phone extraction or a forensic extraction? Any of those words sound familiar?
Not really, no.
Michael Proctor never asked you, fair to say now, given that answer, Michael Proctor never asked you if you could do a phone extraction of your cell phone, did he?
No.
He never asked if you could take a forensic image of your phone, did he?
No.
Do you know what metadata is?
Nope.
You know the dates and times you take a photo on your phone?
Exactly.
Sometimes, all the time. It
Where
has
is
the
the
date and time
metadata?
of the photo, you know that?
Objection.
I'll hear this answer and it may end your inquiry. Do you know that?
Pretty sure. Pretty sure I do, yeah.
Have you ever heard of that data, the dates and times and geolocations? Have you ever heard of that referred to as metadata?
No.
Okay, so I'll just use the word date and time.
Okay.
You know that on your phone, if you pull up a text, you can go behind the text and see the date and time that it was actually sent or received, right?
Yeah.
But on a screenshot, you're left with just what's on the screen. You
Yep.
can't go behind the screenshot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
provided
uncover
just
the
the
truth.
screenshot, ultimately, not the actual text, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
But in September of 2023, Michael Proctor's partner, a man by the name of Yuri Buknik, you know that name?
Yeah.
He contacted you and said he wanted to talk about your text messages, correct?
I don't remember.
Do you remember that you told Yuri Buknik when he asked about the text messages, you did not have the screenshot anymore. You sent it to your father, Chris.
I don't remember that.
Do you recall telling Yuri Buknik if he wanted to get the screenshot, you weren't going to give it to him. He'd have to get it from your dad.
Do not remember that.
Do
Hmm.
you remember Trooper Buknik agreeing with you and saying, sure, I'll just call your dad and get it from him?
Don't remember that.
You don't remember giving, you certainly don't remember ever giving Trooper Buknik a copy of that screenshot,
No, I don't remember.
because you did,
See, it's all
I
wonky.
do not remember.
but you did give it to your dad, right?
I do not remember.
Do you remember anything about this case?
No, he
Objection, Your
don't.
Honor.
I'll withdraw.
You don't
To this
remember
day, you've never
jack
been
shit.
required to present your phone to any law enforcement agent, have you?
Nope.
It was never imaged. It was never downloaded.
Nope.
You still have the same phone?
Yes.
If you had the actual texts on your phone, why did you provide law enforcement with just a screenshot?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I'm not sure.
I'm here. I'll just be in the background. Yeah. I gotta
You were
go.
shown a photo yesterday of you in February of 2022. Was it on? Remember that photo? Mr. Lally showed you that photo?
Correct.
And he said he wanted you to pay special attention to your face and hands and extremities. Asked you if there was anything unusual about that.
Yes.
You said no. In that photo, absolutely nothing unusual in February 2022 about you, your face, your hands, fists, nothing. Right?
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to February 26th, same month, less than a month after the incident. You were at a place called Fenway Johnny's with your buddies, weren't you?
Correct.
Then I have two documents I'd like to mark for identification with the court's permission to show Mr. Lally.
Okay.
1 and 2.
Thank you. Okay.
Present these to the witness.
Yes.
May we approach?
I may as well see them. I'll end up seeing them anyways. So you're putting it in evidence before you display it?
May I approach one more time?
Yes.
Surround. So you recognize those two documents?
Yes.
Taking a look at the one that's got multiple documents on it, I don't want you to tell me what's on it. Just tell me if you recognize the picture that's in the middle to the right.
Yes.
Okay. And then looking at the second document, which I believe is marked EE for identification at this point, does that appear to be a true and accurate enlargement of the first thumbnail?
Yes.
And those were taken on February, that photo was taken on February 26, 2022.
Yes.
At the place called, I think it's called Finway Johns, right?
Correct.
May I publish the
Put it into evidence first.
move for the admission of just EE?
So you need to get it to the court recorder.
May I, I'm sorry, just FF? May I approach?
Yes.
EE or FF?
Oh, no.
Okay, give it to Madam Court Reporter to put the exhibit number on it.
These are the 85 in our patient. Excuse me, that.
Yes.
You see that photograph that's being displayed?
Yes.
Are you in that photograph?
Yes.
Which person are you?
In the middle.
And about what time of day was it? That's you in the middle?
Correct.
Okay. About what time of day was this taken?
Not sure.
Was it at an event, some sort of just you at a bar?
Just at a bar.
Okay. I want you to take a look at your right hand. Can you see from there clearly your right hand?
Yes.
What do you notice about your right hand?
It's cut up.
Your knuckles are injured, correct?
Correct.
Now, you didn't take this photo, did you?
Nope.
That photo was never on your phone. In other words, it wasn't a friend of yours that took the photo.
No.
This was taken by an event staff member, is that right?
Correct.
It was later posted on social media, isn't that right?
Correct.
You could not access the metadata, you couldn't access the time and date of that photo, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean by
You
that.
couldn't manipulate the time or date this photo was taken?
No.
This photo was completely sort of out of your control, isn't that right?
Correct.
And it was controlled by the event staff at Finway Johnny's.
Correct.
And on February 26th, less than a month after the incident at Fairview, that's what your right knuckles look like, correct?
Correct.
And this is a true and accurate depiction of your condition on or about February 26th, correct?
Correct.
How'd you get those injuries, Robert?
I was at a party, my house party my senior year, and I remember it being icy out, and it was kind of like a steep hill of a driveway, and I was walking up the driveway, and I slipped down the driveway, and I tried to catch myself, but I had something in my left hand, so I tried to brace myself with my right hand, and I ended up sliding a little bit down the driveway.
What'd you have in your left hand?
If I remember, it was either my phone or a beverage.
So according to you, you fell on ice and injured your knuckles, as we just saw in that photograph, right across the top of your knuckles.
Correct.
So you fell onto what, pavement, asphalt?
Yes.
And you braced yourself when you fell your entire body weight by putting your right hand down in a fist, and you injured your right fist, just the top of the knuckles on your right fist when you fell down.
Correct.
Seriously?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You put your palms down when you fell?
No.
You fell your entire body weight on your right fist and just injured the top portion of your knuckles, correct?
Correct.
Those injuries to your knuckles look an awful lot like the type of injuries that you would get in a
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You ever been in a fight, sir?
Other than with my brothers, no.
You've never been in a fight?
Nope.
Your entire life?
Other than with my brothers, no.
Never hurt your knuckles before?
Not sure what you mean.
Never hurt your knuckles in a fight?
No.
And in this case, when you fell down on the asphalt, it was only the top four knuckles of your right hand, correct?
Correct.
You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
You box?
Nope.
I'm sorry, you don't box?
Nope.
You've never boxed?
Never.
You ever practice boxing?
I've hit the bag for like cardio, but other than that, no.
Oh my God, when
Look
you
at
say
that.
never, that's a
Consider boxing.
fucking lie. Shit.
I wouldn't say so. Not
It's not jumping
really.
rope, is it, Mr. Albert?
No.
It's not doing curls. It's not doing push-ups or calisthenics.
Nope.
It's hitting a bag, correct?
Yeah.
That's boxing, right?
I'd say yeah.
Why so itchy there, buddy?
When that photograph was taken at Finway Johnny's, those knuckles look like they had been re-injured from a prior injury. No?
No.
Just falling on the asphalt.
Correct.
Any other cuts or scrapes from that terrible fall on the asphalt?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll rephrase it. Any other cuts or scrapes or injuries from that fall?
I don't remember.
Just your right knuckles.
Oh, but he's a lefty. I forgot. But my right hand's all messed up.
You said you've never been in a fight before.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Did you post a video? You threatened that you're going to.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained. I'll see you at sidebar on this. I'm familiar with this.
Oh my God, not another fucking sidebar. This is irritating as fuck.
Early enough for me to get you coffee and bagels. I apologize for that, but we'll be a little bit. So we'll send you out for the morning.
Coffee and
All right,
bagels.
follow me.
She looks so fucking tired, man.
All right, so, Mr. Albert, you stay right where you are. We're going to see a
Yeah,
couple
I
of short
do, but I don't
videos,
use it
and
that
then
often.
Mr. Jackson will ask you questions, and then Mr. Lally will ask you
Put it down in
questions.
the chat.
Then I'll hear from the lawyers, and then I'll take a break, and you'll get a break before we go back. Okay? Did you have a lawyer present?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. So the first one, are they both on the same? They're separate. All right. So let's mark them
That's
each for
fine, sir.
identification.
The one I'm holding in my right hand,
Bring it up.
I'll call advantage.
Okay.
That would be GG for identification.
Thank you.
Good luck. The one in my left hand, with the court's permission, this is, I'll call this bang bang.
Bang, bang. Yes,
All right,
let's
thank you.
get to it. Let's get
All
to
right.
the
So
road.
play GG first, please.
Motherfucker getting drunk and calling people on.
Yo, your name's boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Pull up, bitch.
Okay. And the next one, please.
Fuck you, now fuck you, pussy. Nico, boy, you can knock out hell.
Bang, bang.
Okay.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to take those two videos one at a time. I'm going to call one the advantage voice and one the bang bang. For purposes of my questioning, Mr. Albert, specifically as regarding the
Bang, bang. I'll fuck
the
you
advantage
up.
voice video, did you recognize it?
Yes.
How did you recognize it?
What do you mean by
How do you
that?
recognize it? Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. When was that taken?
Maybe my
don't
sophomore year in
know.
high school. Or
Oh, wait, you remember all that shit, but
don't
don't
remember.
remember the
Right.
night
Sophomore year in high school,
that an
about 2 years
officer
ago?
lost his life, huh?
yeah,
Right.
around.
You indicated on cross-examination you've never been in a fight.
No.
Indicating that you have no violent tendencies and no violent proclivities, right?
Nope.
What were you saying on the video?
That I would beat them up.
Did you say you would beat them up, or did you say I will fuck you up?
Fuck you up.
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say I will F you up. What did you actually say?
That I would
Use
fuck them
your
up.
words.
You also said something about beating somebody's ass, right?
Correct.
What did that mean?
That I would beat them up.
Okay, stop it.
So when you said I will fuck you up and I will beat your ass, was that a friendly invitation?
No.
It was a threat, correct?
I don't know if I would call it a threat.
No?
I'm not sure.
Someone walks up to you. I'm not going to do it. But if someone did, walked up to you and said, I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. You wouldn't take that as a threat?
If they walked up to me, yeah.
But if they didn't walk up and just shouted across the street and stood there and said, I will fuck you up, I will beat your ass.
That's a threat.
That's not a threat.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think you are sure, sir.
All right. So that I'll strike at the Commonwealth standing up and objecting.
Come on.
Were you threatening advantage boys, guys, whoever they are?
Yeah, kinda.
Were you threatening them with violence?
Kinda, yeah.
In the second video,
Kinda? No,
you
yes,
said-
you were.
fuck you a number of times. And then you said, KO, you said, pull up, KO, bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Correct.
Explain that to me.
I'm not sure. Like, explain what I said.
Is that a threat?
Yeah.
Pull up, bitch, right?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
Those same advantage kids.
Got it. So you're threatening them yet again a
Pull
second
up,
time.
bitch.
What does pull up mean?
Like, come by.
Yeah, meaning get over here, right?
Yep.
When you do, I'm going to fuck you up, right?
Yeah.
Meaning I'm going to fight you and I'm going to put you down, correct?
Correct.
That was your threat to them,
Correct.
Can we get a time on this second one?
of course. When was the second one, the bang bang threat made? Before or after the advantage boys?
I'm not sure.
After?
Might have been this same night. I really don't know.
Well, you're dressed completely differently, so it's probably not the same night. You would agree with that?
Unless I could have changed my shirt. I do that often.
Okay. So you changed your shirt on the same night. You just decided to threaten the guys twice. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Was it around the same time frame?
Around, yeah.
The fact of the matter is, Mr. Albert, you do like to fight, don't you?
Nope.
The fact of the matter is, you showed up at another hearing, at another proceeding, to testify, and you showed up with busted knuckles then too, didn't you?
I do not remember.
July 27th, 2023, do you remember being at another hearing?
Yes.
You remember being questioned by some attorneys?
Yes.
You remember the question about the condition of your fist, literally at the hearing?
Yeah.
It was obvious to the person that was questioning you that you had an injury to your fist, correct?
Wow.
I'll rephrase that. My apologies, Your Honor. You were asked questions by the questioner about the condition, the physical condition of your fist, weren't you?
Correct.
Wow, that's
And
crazy.
you claimed at that time, well, let me back up for a second and ask a different question. They were asking because you had open injuries on your right knuckles yet again, didn't you?
Correct.
You said, must have been hitting a heavy bag, right?
Yeah.
Boxing again.
Hit in the bag, yeah.
Just working out, right?
Yep.
Didn't have any injuries on your left hand, though, did you?
No. I'm not sure.
How many times have you worked out with a heavy bag? That's an unfair question. I'll ask it better. How many times have you worked out on a heavy bag?
I'm not sure.
When you work out on a heavy bag, you wrap your hands, don't you?
I do not know.
Absolutely. So only your right hand gets injured over
He
and over
looks
and
pretty
over and over
fit.
again. Not your left hand.
I'm not sure.
Even though you punch in the bag, you go,
Where's the double shirt so it doesn't look
I'm not
like
sure.
yet
it?
again, you're right-handed, aren't you?
Yes.
When you throw a haymaker, your hardest punch, that's with your right fist, right? Is
Objection.
I'll allow it.
that right?
I would say they have equal. They're equal. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So, yeah, I'm
All right, Mr. Lally.
just
Thank you, Your Honor.
with this dumb bullshit.
Mr. Albert,
Yep, here comes the cops. They're on your ass.
when those videos were made, you were a sophomore in high school, is that right?
Around that, yeah.
How old were you when you were a sophomore?
Oh
in high
my
school?
God, stop it.
16 years old.
So that
Just
would've been
because he
a
did
couple
it in
years
the
before
past
January
doesn't mean he
2020, correct?
won't still do it in the future.
And, as far as within those videos, well, as far as time, so those videos were around the same time, both sort of same time period within your sophomore year,
Correct.
and relatively close to each other. Is that correct?
Correct.
And who or what is an advantage?
It's a club hockey team.
And what, if any, relationship did you have with that club hockey team?
None.
And so, as far as what videos you were made and sending, were there any videos from that group that were made and sent to you?
Text messages.
And with regard to those text messages, generally speaking, what do they say?
Just name calling me and my friends, calling us like pussies and stuff like that.
So this was sort of a back and forth. Is that correct?
Correct.
What am I?
And
14?
do you even play hockey?
Nope.
And were these people around your age at that time?
Yeah.
And were they kids from the same town or different?
I don't even know where they're from.
Did you even really know these kids, what their names were, or anything like that?
Not at all.
And was there ever any sort of physical fight or even a physical interaction with these other kids?
Never.
Did you ever even meet them face to face?
Never.
And with regard to
Oops.
Mr. O'Keefe, your neighbor who lived at the top of the street when you lived at Seven Meadows, you ever threaten him?
Never.
Did he ever threaten you?
Never.
Did you ever have any sort of back and forth exchange similar to what was up on the screen?
Never.
I have nothing for you.
Okay.
Very briefly. You indicated, Mr. Albert, that this was your sophomore year in high school, but you were asked that exact same question under oath, the time frame of these videos in that other hearing, weren't you?
I believe so, yes.
You indicated under oath in that hearing that it looked like it was your junior or senior year in high school, correct?
Maybe I'm not sure
Not sure.
exactly what I said.
Your senior year would have been what year, sir?
2022, 21, 22.
Same year, John Keefe died.
Correct.
They have moving on.
Yes.
That's all I have this time. Thank you.
All right, I will hear you.
Your Honor, if we can make the argument outside the presence of the witness.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you to step out of the
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you cannot hear in that background.
No problem. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity. Your Honor, it's very clear that these videos are highly, highly relevant, given the sanitized testimony that this witness has tried to present to this jury. He's indicated that he's never been in a fight, doesn't have any violent proclivities, doesn't have any violent tendencies. It's not in his countenance to do this. Mr. Lally opened this
So
door.
you only got that through the voir dire.
Understood.
Okay, so the violent tendencies only came in through the voir dire.
Well, that's not true. But in front of the jury, he said, I've never been in a fight.
Okay, but that specific question, you said violent tendencies. It was unobjected to, but that was what, dear?
Understood. Mr. Lally clearly opened the story yesterday. He presented a photograph or a series of photographs with this witness's family. His arm draped over his aunt. He's with his mom, looking very family-oriented, etc. And Mr. Lally went further than that and specifically said, I want you to take a look at your face, your hands, and your extremities. Do you see anything unusual or odd about that? That's why I believe the court allowed, based on the testimony today, allowed the photograph in February of 2022 of the actual photo that cannot be manipulated. It's in the hands of the third party of the busted and injured knuckles on this witness's right hand. He then said, I've never been in a fight. Those two videos belie that testimony. There is no way to look at those two videos and say this is not relevant to the issue of whether or not he has been in a fight.
But tell me how whether he's been in a fight is relevant to an issue in this case. That's what you have to do.
Because the police should have, the Massachusetts State Police should have, if they were doing their due diligence, they should have investigated this young man. They should have investigated every single person that was in that house, in or around the home of where John O'Keefe was found, the Albert home, and they didn't. They did nothing to investigate whether or not there was someone in the house who tended to fight, who wanted to get in physical altercations, who had a propensity to get in physical altercations, who was a fighter by nature,
They screwed up the investigation.
That's what this young man has
They
admitted he does.
didn't investigate this case thoroughly. They honed in on her, and it was her alone, and because they were able to freaking come up with the story that she ran over him. She was easy to frame. They didn't investigate shit. This trial is a bunch of bullshit. Anyways, let me see what Matt McCabe, he's 2 minutes. Oh, so he's about 5 out. He's about 4 hours.
Constantly. I'm surprised he didn't show up in this hearing with busted knuckles.
So does this go to your third-party culprit defense?
It goes to both. It certainly goes to both, but yes, it also goes to our third-party culprit defense as well. This is a focus of, I believe, this should be a focus of the juror's attention in terms of, is there a third party who could have done this? The evidence points to that may have done this.
Right.
Absolutely. This evidence, what we now have,
They didn't investigate shit.
It's focused in that direction. So yes, both it should have been investigated, and Colin Albert is somebody that the jurors should focus their opinion on or their attention on to determine whether or not he could have or was involved in the death of John O'Keefe.
All right, Mr. Lally?
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth would submit did not open the door in reference to this,
Oh
showing
my
a photograph
God,
of someone and what they
stop
physically
it.
looked like. There was no suggestion. The only questions that were asked about fighting or anything of that nature were by counsel. So counsel thinks he opened his own door. I don't think that's exactly how that works. This is nothing more than rank speculation that has nothing, there's no relevance whatsoever to this case. You're talking about something that is dated at least a year, if not two, prior to the incidents in this case.
But what if it's as Mr. Jackson pointed out, the prior testimony, his senior year, which is, of course, is much closer.
Well, I think even assuming that, as far as relevance is concerned, Your Honor, there is no evidence here of a fight at all. There's no evidence that this witness was even present at the house at the same time as the victim. There's no evidence of any animus between this witness and the victim. There is no evidence whatsoever, as I stated, that he was even present at the same place at the same time on the night with John O'Keefe, on the night that John O'Keefe was killed. There is no evidence from even these videos of any physical altercation having taken place.
How do you know? Because
so whatever juvenile
you let in
beef that he and his friends.
You let in screenshots. I'm wondering if they got a full extraction of John O'Keefe's phone, because, you know, on John O'Keefe's phone, like, not just, you know, cherry picked it and then handed it over to the defense, but did a full extraction, because I wonder if he ever had messages or text somebody saying, oh, the Albert kid is doing this again. You know, that would really corroborate the story that he possibly had something to do with it. Because I'm telling you now, like, the screenshots and the pictures, they all look doctored to me. I'm sorry, there's no metadata, nothing to back it up. This case screams cover up like nobody's cover up ever.
Had with individuals from another town. There's no evidence whatsoever of physical altercation. There's no evidence that there's a physical altercation even in this case. So to allow counsel to introduce this purely for, you know, prejudicial reasons and to invite the jury to speculate as to what it is, it essentially does nothing but divert the jury's attention away from the facts of the case and what the evidence of the case is. And
you know, not how you know. Do you
what
know?
the hell? No. We're back here.
To testify, and you showed up with busted knuckles. They can knock themselves out. That is not the state of the case, and they don't get to dictate the state of the facts. The facts speak for themselves. Second, with regard to whether or not Mr. Albert was and specifically said, I want you to take a look at your face, your hands, and your extremities. Do you see anything unusual or odd about that? That's why I believe the court allowed, based on the testimony today, allowed the photograph in February of 2022 of the actual photo that cannot be manipulated. It's in the hands of the third party of the busted and injured knuckles on this witness's right hand. He then said, I've never been in a fight.
Jury to speculate as to what it is. It essentially does nothing but divert the jury's attention away from the facts of the case and what the evidence of the case is, and more so is just there's
to make sure
no
that
evidence of
she's
anything
found
in this case.
because you don't want people looking in your direction.
Yes. In terms of evidence of a fight, I don't
In
know
their
what's wrong.
direction.
He says there's no
This
evidence
is
of a fight. This
crazy.
case, John O'Keefe looks like he had been beaten to death. He's got 2 black eyes, laceration of his right eye, laceration over his nose, a giant wound on the back of his head, and he doesn't look like he was hit by a car. He looks like he was in a physical altercation.
Yes,
It's
he
as plain
does.
as the nose on your face, and we have evidence that we're witnesses who are going to propound that, to present that evidence. So Mr. Lally and the Commonwealth can take whatever position they want to. If they think those injuries are consistent with being hit by a 6,000-pound truck, they can knock themselves out. That is not the state of the case, and they don't get to dictate the state of the facts. The facts speak for themselves. Second, with regard to whether or not Mr. Albert was home that night, or at the home that night, in a position to be able to engage in a physical altercation, which, by the way, takes about that long, that is predicated on his own family members covering for him. Every one of the witnesses who testified basically are friends and families of the Alberts. And keep in mind, Your Honor, I don't think it's lost on anybody that Colin Albert was hidden, specifically and intentionally hidden from all of law enforcement for the first several months of this investigation. Nobody was willing to even say he was at the house. That is highly, highly suspicious. Given the gravity of what we have now, I would take an issue with one thing Mr. Lally said. He said this diverts the jurors' attention. I would agree, it diverts their attention. It diverts their attention to somebody who possibly could be involved with this, who was not properly investigated. And I'll submit.
Okay, so may I have those 2 flash drives, please? Yes, no, I was asking that question. All right, so I will, look, why don't we take a 15-minute recess? I'll look at these and we'll come out.
Like, why even call the jury in when
They'll
you're-
need to be passed down to Nancy. Sorry.
They should
Okay,
let
the
her,
witness can take the
let her
stand,
do
please.
whatever defense she wants. They're trying to hog tie her.
Mr. Armand, you're still under oath.
All right, so Mr. Jackson, Madam Court Reporter has 2 marked for identification. Are you moving to introduce those into evidence at this point?
With the court's permission, yes.
Okay, so let's wait a minute. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Albert, before we took a break, you had mentioned that you've never been in a fight.
Correct.
You stand by that testimony?
Correct.
I'd like you to take a look at the video. It's been marked for. Sorry, it's
Oh,
evidence number
fuck you
86. I'm
up.
gonna play the short video.
Hold up, bitch.
You guys are revenge boys. I will beat all your asses. I promise you, I will fuck you all up. Pull up, bitch.
Did you recognize what was depicted in that video?
Yes.
Who was that?
Me.
Hockey
Actually,
players
where's that
love
video
to fight,
taken?
though. That's to be
Around my sophomore year in high school.
Sophomore year or senior year in high school?
Say around my sophomore year in high school.
Why do you say your sophomore year? When previously, let me ask it a different way. Did you previously testify at a different hearing back in July of 2023?
Yes.
You were asked about this video, weren't you?
Yes.
You were asked about another video at the same time, correct?
Correct.
And in that hearing, you said you believe that was taken closer to your junior year or senior year in high school, correct?
Correct.
That was under the oath?
Correct.
Same oath that you took here.
Correct.
Closer in time to the events in question. And at that time, you said your junior year or
Where's it
senior year in high
going?
school, correct?
Correct.
If it was your senior year in high school, what year would that have been?
21, 22. So 2021, 2022.
Going into 2022, correct?
Yeah.
The same year that John O'Keefe passed.
Correct.
What did you mean by, I'm going to fuck you up?
That I was going to beat them up?
Actually, you didn't say beat them up. You said, I'm going to beat your ass, didn't you?
Yes.
That was a threat, wasn't it?
You got the
Yes.
police.
It was a threat directed at some other individuals with whom you had some sort of a beef or a problem.
Correct.
And your resolution of that problem
We're
is,
trying
I'm
to
going to
type
fuck
on
you
my
up, I'm going to beat your ass, right?
Correct.
But you've never
But
been.
you never been
Never.
in a fight. Bullshit.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we play evidence number 87?
Yes.
This is what intimidation and
Fuck you
threats and you know, stuff that, you know, a blogger's been accused of. This is what it would look like.
May I inquire? Yes. Mr. Albert, who was that in that video?
Me.
Was that taken around the same time?
Yes.
You indicated you're a bitch, bro. Right?
Correct.
Was that a threat?
Yes.
More of an insult?
Yeah. More of an insult.
Calling someone out?
Yep.
Yep.
Making them feel bad?
Yeah.
Prompting them to maybe fight?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll ask that question differently, Mr. Jackson.
Also called him a pussy, didn't you?
Correct.
Derogatory comment?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And then you said, KO, bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Correct.
What's KO mean?
Bang, bang.
And what does bang, bang mean?
I'm not sure, honestly.
You were just talking about knocking somebody out.
Correct.
And the bang, bang just sort of flowed.
Exactly.
Was that a threat?
Yes.
And these threats that we've just talked about, that we've just seen, these are threats of physical violence, right?
Correct.
You're not threatening to hurt their feelings or send them a mean text, right?
No.
You're threatening to kick their ass, right?
Correct.
To get physical, right?
Yes.
To ball up your fists and beat the shit out of them.
Objection.
Can you answer that? Will you answer that, please?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Probably shouldn't. You were threatening to ball up your fists and beat the heck out of them.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Is that what you were threatening to do?
Yes.
Let him have it.
When you testified in a separate proceeding in July of 2023, you actually showed up for questioning live, correct?
Yes.
And you showed up at the time in July of 2023 with your knuckles busted out again, didn't you?
Correct.
And you were asked about your knuckles at that time, correct?
Correct.
And at that time you said, oh no, I didn't fall down on black ice and slip and break my fall with my knuckles like you said here. You said, oh, I hit a heavy bag and busted my knuckles up on a heavy bag, right?
Correct.
So that heavy bag was you practicing boxing, right?
It was me getting cardio. Yes.
Which is in a form of fighting,
In a form. Yeah.
punching a bag.
Yep.
That's how you choose to do your cardio.
Sometimes.
And you're right-handed,
Yes.
and it was your right hand that was busted up.
Correct.
So when you throw your hardest punch, that's with your right hand, isn't it?
I'd say, I'm not sure. I'd say they're equal.
You're equally strong with both hands.
I'd say so.
So in your words, you could fuck somebody up with either hand, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Can you answer that?
No, I'm not saying that.
That's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Smiley?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, just before I begin, may we approach?
Okay.
Oh, did he end it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and look at the jury. Please, I'm a young, innocent kid. I wouldn't do no hurt. And this poor family believes it all. Except for maybe Pops. I'd be so mad that they didn't investigate this case. I would be so freaking mad if it was my loved one. Mm-mm. No way, no how. Okay, let me. No way, no how. Okay.
She's a friend of yours who you have relatives in common, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, when you and I and other individuals met.
Yeah, you don't know
prior
how to
testimony
clean
in
it
this
up,
case, it was just one time, is that
Lowry.
correct?
Correct.
Did we talk about something called sequestration?
Not that I remember. No.
Did we talk about having conversations with other witnesses while the case was pending or going on?
No.
Now, you testified when you were asked on cross-examination that you haven't had any conversations with any other witnesses, you haven't watched any coverage, you haven't done any evidence, correct?
Correct.
Was that at my instruction?
No.
Is that something that you've done at any point in time as far as talking to any other witnesses, including your parents?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions on cross-examination about your family's relationship sort of with the Proctor family, correct? Correct. And taking the Proctor family as it was put as sort of an entity, what I'm going to ask you about is purely about Trooper Michael Proctor. How many times have you seen him in your life?
Maybe 5, 6 times.
And when about would those be, and what would the nature of those interactions be?
Other than when I got interviewed last time with Trooper Proctor and one of his partners. Other than that, I didn't see him for years, I want to say, since I was a young kid.
And when you were a young kid, just so we're clear, as far as how young were you?
Maybe saw him. I could have seen him at like a football game or something, but other than that, like pretty young, like 12, 11, 13 years old.
And whereabout, or what was the context in which you would see him? Was it you and him together, or was it a group setting, family? How would you come in contact with him?
We've been over the grandmother's house a couple of times, but that's pretty much the only time I would see him.
Now, as far as the photograph that you were shown, as far as the wedding was concerned, you were a ring bearer in that wedding?
Correct.
And that was over 10 years ago, you said?
Yes.
how old would you have been in that particular photograph or in that particular wedding?
If I had to guess, 8 or 9, maybe around there.
Do you have any independent memory of that wedding or anything about that wedding?
None.
It doesn't matter. But he remembers doing it. That's the funny part. He remembers that, but doesn't remember what happened the night or the early morning that somebody lost their life that looked like they freaking got beat up, not ran over by a freaking SUV. Come on now. Anybody with common sense would know. Put 2 and 2 together. Crazy.
And as far as your family being
How-
close, again,
and
the
how
Foster
this
family is
jury-
not easier. Family
How
close,
this freaking jury couldn't come to a decision is beyond me. Holy shit, it's fucking snowing.
with all of the Proctors, or is your family close with Courtney Proctor, or is your family close with Michael Proctor?
Mostly
Tired of this
just like my
smoke. Can we
aunt and my
have
mom's
some
friendly with Courtney, I'd say.
freaking,
Not really close with Michael.
Spring or what?
I have some questions about the text messages
No, we can't have spring. We gotta have.
that were up on the screen yesterday and up on the screen today.
Well, it's only
As far as
50, wow.
the gap between January 28th and February, is that correct?
Correct.
Now,
So we're back to
you indicated that
Regular.
there were other means by which you would have communicated with your friend Allie McCabe, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that consistent with, is that only Allie McCabe, or is that consistent with other friends that you would communicate with?
All my friends.
You would sort of switch between call, text, Snapchat, other apps, things like that.
Exactly.
And the top of that screen was the text messages regarding picking you up from 34
Don't
Fairview
so
on
late.
January 28th or 29th, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any idea when the last time was? The text before that, was it days, weeks,
That's not
months?
bad.
Not sure.
Bad for them.
That period, sort of, that period of sort of January 28th until February, is that,
Weather.
how would you characterize that?
Winter
Is
weather
that a normal gap
advisory?
between times that you would have text
Not
communications
us.
with Allie McCabe?
On iMessage, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
And from photographs that you were shown yesterday during your direct examination, when I was asking the question, those photographs from February 11th of 2026, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. McCabe was present at the house for your cousin Jack coming home from the Marine Corps as well?
Correct.
You saw her on February 11th, correct?
Yes.
Now, the other photographs that you were shown today at some sort of bar or establishment, were those taken before or after the time at your uncle's house when cousin Jack came home from the Marines?
After.
And after by days, weeks, if you know?
Weeks.
Now, with regard to questions you were asked about injuries to your hands.
It's gonna snow till
two
June.
separate incidents, one in February when you slipped on ice, is that correct?
Correct.
And one in July when you had struck a heavy bag, correct?
Correct.
When you struck a heavy bag and got sort of injuries on your hands, were you wearing anything on your hand when you hit the heavy bag?
Nothing. Nope.
Have you received any sort of training in boxing, taking classes, anything like that?
Never.
Was something you do as part of your workout, correct?
Correct.
You're an athlete, correct?
I'd like to say so. Yeah.
You played sports in high school, correct?
Yeah.
And at least at the beginning of college, you played sports in college, correct?
Correct.
Now, you were asked about things about that February 26th photo at, it was Fenway Johnny's, is that where it was?
Correct.
And you were asked about control over the photograph, correct?
Say that again.
You were asked different questions about your control over what you could do or alter with respect to the photograph, correct?
Yes. Correct.
Ultimately, though, you were in control about whether or not you were photographed, correct?
Yes.
Nobody forced you to go up and pose with your friends or anything like that?
Nope.
Now, as far as those videos that you were just shown, how old were you?
Around 16. I'd say around 16 years old.
So you believe it was sometime in your sophomore year of high school?
Yes, that's what I believe.
And so that would have been a couple years before your senior year of high school, which you were in January 2022, correct?
Correct.
And this video, as far as you recall who you were referencing in those videos?
An Advantage club hockey team.
So a club hockey team, were they about the same age as you?
Yes.
And did you know any of those people?
Nope.
And were they the club hockey team, was that within the same town as you were?
I'm not sure.
Did you play hockey?
Nope.
At any point in time in high school?
Never.
And was this just you sending them videos, or was this some sort of argument or something going back and forth?
It was an argument going back and forth.
So what, if anything, did you or any of your friends receive in regard to from that club hockey team?
We received texts like being name called, like calling pussies and words like that.
So do you recall which came first as far as the text or the video?
I do not recall.
But similar, the text message that you received from this club hockey team, were they similar in nature to the videos that you posted?
Correct.
Do you recall what the argument was about with this other group of kids from this club hockey team?
Yeah. It was the girls in our friend group. A couple of the girls in our friend group like hung out with them a few times. So like all my guy friends got a little salty about it. So that's why we kind of sent videos back and forth.
So you were teenage kids arguing about girls, correct?
Exactly.
And at any point in time, did your friend group and this club hockey team ever meet up at all?
Never.
Any sort of physical altercation or anything like that?
Nope.
And you indicated that you've never really been in a fight except for with your brothers, correct?
Correct.
And when you would get in a fight with your brothers, how old were you then?
Younger, I'd say. Yeah, younger.
Younger, like as young as you were when you were ring bearer in somebody's wedding?
Yeah.
Now, with regard to John O'Keefe, your neighbor who lives a couple doors down. You ever threaten John O'Keefe?
Never.
John O'Keefe ever threaten you?
Never.
You ever get in an argument?
Hey, cool Pepsi,
Nope.
how are ya?
Or any conflict that you can recall ever between yourself and Mr. O'Keefe?
Never.
Such a liar. They didn't
You
investigate.
asked,
How do
some
you know,
questions
Lally?
on cross-examination regarding whether or not
Yeah,
you were
it's
thinking about
an,
this
it's
case
an
for the last
infraction
2.5
when you
years.
lie.
Recall that?
Yes.
And you indicated that you would not, correct?
Correct. Sorry.
And you had indicated in your testimony in response to that questioning, essentially not until people were writing things about you on the internet, correct? Correct. You expound upon that? Can you explain to the jury sort of when that occurred and what were the things that were being written about you on the internet?
Cold Pepsi, did you hear? They're trying to revoke freaking Young Thug's probation, parole. I'm good. They're trying to revoke his freaking parole for what other people are writing on the internet. Nothing he is writing on the internet constitutes any gang stuff or anything. All he's saying is like his friend was shot, not whatever. And he was talking about the state going after little baby, but nothing bad, and they want to revoke him. Yeah, that's so crazy. Oh my gosh, that's freaking nuts. Man, Young Thug can't do shit. I just can't believe it. I can't believe the lengths that they're going to try to, get somebody, put behind bars. Absolutely ridiculous. It's called freedom of speech. You don't like it, don't read it. And other people are doing the messages on Viverito and all that other stuff. So that's a bunch of crap. He does. He freaking does. That is so prosecutorial misconduct, if I don't know what is. But she's a DA, so she gets a slap on the wrist, They got immunity. Fucking bullshit. I don't think anybody should have immunity because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all can turn evil, I don't know what she got against rappers that came from nothing to something, I don't understand that.
I'd say about a little over a year it started when people on Twitter, Instagram, social media were just coming at my family, calling us murderers, harassing us, showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games. I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
And how long has that gone on for?
Okay, he didn't open the door for this harassment shit. And you're letting it in again, Lally. That has nothing to do with Karen Read. That's prejudicial. You talk about his pictures coming in being prejudicial. This is prejudicial.
The past year and change, past year and a couple months, I'd say.
Irritating.
To be clear, that night that you were at 34 Fairview Road at your uncle's house, January 28th and 29th, at any point in
No,
time,
he's not traumatized.
Come into that house, around that house, at any point in time that you did.
Never.
You're gonna tell me you can remember everything else, but you can't remember a day that a traumatic event happened? I mean, I get some people, they block it out of their mind, but he knows what the fuck went on. He knows. He knows. Get out of here.
Nothing wrong with you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Albert, you're all set.
He's like, get me the fuck out of here.
I think that piece of paper goes back to Mr. Jackson.
And I bet you this time around, because they won't let him be part of the third party culprit in their defense, he's probably relieved that this shit ain't gonna go on again. And I think that's bullshit, because she says, oh, there was no evidence. Ma'am, there was evidence, but people lie and will protect other people, You let screenshots in as evidence. How the fuck? Do you not know that it wasn't photoshopped or altered in any way? People can do that without the metadata, and you seem to hide that a lot, especially with the video evidence and text messages. It's absolutely sickening.
Did you leave something?
She got to go through this all again. She got to go through all this again. This is bullshit. They didn't investigate the case. They didn't look into other avenues as far as the crime went. because he looked like he got hit and punched a few times and hit in the back of something or fell on something, that cracked his skull. But I mean, he looked like, somebody was just wham, wham, wham right in his face. Not no fucking vehicle, especially 20 miles an hour. She would have had a dent on her car. All that she has is a fucking broken taillight. And the other officer that seen it that day before it was even towed, he said it was cracked, not completely damaged. That says a fucking lot.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lally, your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, Commonwealth call Mr. Matthew McCabe to stand.
Okay.
I wish they had his fucking dash cam that day. But he probably didn't even pull up close enough. Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, screenshots. Ooh. And then here's his uncle. Guess what he does for a living? He's an IT person. So you can't tell me that he doesn't know how to doctor up metadata and all that other dumb shit. Can't tell me. He knows how to doctor up fucking shit. He's a fucking IT person. Absolutely bullshit. And they all got new phones. So what does it matter? They all got new phones. And I mean, yeah, his wife handed over her phone, but she also deleted text messages and shit before she handed it over.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
I think this is 2 hours.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Or an hour and a half.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Matthew McCabe, MCCABE.
And where do you live, sir?
Canton, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived in Canton?
Be 20 years this coming June.
Exactly.
During the time that you have lived in Canton, have you lived?
Exactly. And they're all hiding their, they all hide their phones and all this other dumb shit so nobody can get a hold of their, extract their phones and shit. Handing over fucking screenshots and all this other stuff. Well, the FBI got some stuff and they handed it over. That's how, the defense is actually throwing it in these motherfuckers' faces. That's how they got the text messages from the lead investigator. That's the reason why he lost his job. He showed bias and he was derogatory. He was very wrong for the messages he was sending and saying, oh, well, no, the homeowner's going to get some shit. And he's like, no, he's a Boston cop too, kind of shit. But, and when a cop dies, when one of their own, because, they don't give a fuck about us citizens, but when one of their own die, I mean, they come full force. Helicopters, freaking, they're racing to get there. They got a whole, what do you call it? A brigade? What is it? Yeah, I think it's not a brigade. It's a whatever. When people die and they all follow behind, they do all that shit. But they didn't do that in this case. Like, they just fucking didn't give a fuck. They didn't take pictures. And when they did take pictures, it was like 2 weeks later, and they're right up on there and don't do something late, just the whole thing screams cover up. It screams cover up. It does. And hopefully, I'm hoping this time around, since somebody doesn't have, their job on the line anymore, that they come clean. Maybe they'll come clean. Maybe they're like, hey, you fucking assholes made me lose my living. And, fuck being a family, because what is having the circle of trust if motherfuckers make you lose your job and shit for covering up for them? Like, if it was any of my friends or any of my family, if they ask me some shit like that, they're no fucking friend or family. No friend or no true friend or family will ask you to do something that they don't do for themselves. Like, they would never make you put your life on the line, your ask you to put your life on the line or your, income on the line, stuff like that. They wouldn't do it. But these dirtbags, I mean, they act like they're the mob and shit.
Lived at the same place, or have you lived at different places?
Different places.
So where do you live currently? How long have you lived there?
Currently, I will be 10 years this June.
They should have, but
where did
you
you
know
live
what? You know what?
Prior to that, the physical address.
She's so biased. The damn judge is so biased. They won't even let them present the defense that they want to present. Oh well, you can point the finger at these two, but not the young boy, not the one that where the screenshots in, and we don't know any metadata or anything like that in. Where he did have a conflict, but because none of the witnesses agreed to it, well, that's because they didn't fully put on a case last time. I mean, you had fucking Lally take forever with his fucking witnesses. I mean, talking about, hey, did it snow? And trying to make it seem like it was a blizzard and shit, and the blizzard didn't even happen till later that day. Oh, this case, and they do it to way too many freaking people. They do it to way too many people. I mean, shit, look, YSL. Why they totally looked at messages and took them the wrong freaking way and shit. At least the judge was smart and knew what the fuck was going on. Come on. This is crazy. And they think this is American. Okay, yeah. Costing people hundreds and millions of dollars just for a fucking defense that they shouldn't have to defend themselves against. Because why? You don't have any hard fucking facts and evidence to back up your claims. You just want to get a name for your fucking self, or you want to protect your political backing or whatever, your livelihood and all bullshit. Oh, it irritates me.
15 Sutcliffe Ave. I was there for 10 years as well.
And with respect to both locations, who, if anyone, you live with?
I live with my wife.
And what is your wife's name?
They didn't
Jennifer?
do any of that.
How long have you and Jennifer McCabe met?
The
only way they got real text messages and shit was from the fucking feds. They got it through the feds, or they got it off of her phone. The one witness that drove with Karen that morning that says, "Oh, I hit him. That the one that is the one that started the cover up for everybody, because geez, I can't have my family go down. Let me talk to Proctor, because we know him and stuff, ridiculous. And then they want to scream, oh, witness intimidation, because somebody says, tell the fucking truth. A cop lost his life. A person lost his life. Fuck all being a cop. Somebody lost their fucking life. And we all should we should all be treated the fucking same. Nobody's better or less than anybody. And I hate that about about society. Somebody always thinks they're better than or less than. Nobody is better or less than anybody. We all fuck up.
22, so 23 years in August.
And you have 4 daughters, is that right?
That's correct.
And how old are you?
I'm 49. Oh, my daughters?
That's okay. Your daughters, how old are your daughters?
Who fucking cares about his daughters?
18.
The only one that you should
16
worry about is
and
fucking
15.
goddamn Allie.
And your oldest daughter is Allie McCabe, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And do you work, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you do for?
I work for a information technology solutions firm.
And how long have you been doing that?
I'm an IT person.
2009. So
And you wonder
We're coming on 15 years.
Where all this stock
And, does your wife
came
work?
from.
No.
What does your wife do?
Stay at home.
Just like the whole fucking the whole Google search. If it was you or me with the Google search, they would be like, oh no, the Cellbrite, we can trust Cellbrite, but all of a sudden when it goes against your case, the Cellbrite is wrong, right? It's so bullshit.
Raises the kids. Homemaker.
I could turn your attention to January 28th and to January 29th of 2020.
I just hate this fucking
Yes, I did.
case, Kevin.
Friday into Saturday.
I forgot how
Friday?
irritated I was the first time around. I don't know why I'm torturing my fucking self, and I gotta watch it again. I gotta go through this shit again. But I'm not on trial, but still, this could be anybody. They do this way too fucking much and get away with it. It's bullshit. And you got like these fucks that thinks it's okay. What? Oh, we gotta protect our own. How the fuck is your goddamn family supposed to learn anything if you're protecting them always? Anyways.
Yes, I did.
And so at that point, do you recall, were you working in an office or remotely?
I don't recall if that specific day I was in the office.
I was like this with YSL. These cases irritate the F out of me. They do. They do. Like, how dare you make somebody come and pay that much money to be defended over BS? And to think, what if it was somebody that couldn't afford their freaking defense? They'd be, oh, hurry up and take this deal. Hurry up and take this deal. We're not going to fight because, I don't get paid enough. So hurry up and take this deal type shit. It's not fair. I get high prices. Attorneys, they should get paid for what they're worth, I guess. But I in a way, I don't think it's fair. It's capitalism at its finest, but hey, whatever. I just feel like even if you can't afford a good attorney, like your public defender should fight for you just as much as a regular attorney would.
Sometimes I'd go in, sometimes I'd work from home. So I don't recall if I actually was physically in the office. Sometimes I'll go in for a few hours. So I don't recall exactly if I was home or in the office that day.
Exactly.
Regardless, at some point, you wrap up work for the day. And where did you go?
Yes, finished up work and met some friends at a restaurant in Canton before my daughter's basketball game.
Oh, Kevin, so they got 7 jurors picked. So maybe by the end of this week, they'll have 16. Maybe next week, they'll have 16. So maybe next week or the week after it should start. They're just, whenever they pick a jury, that's all we're waiting on. Because, oh, fuck. I don't know how. And what sucks is the feds tried to stop this shit. They said, we can't see you go to trial and take her to trial because John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a fucking car and the car didn't hit John O'Keefe. We can't in good faith let you fucking do this. And they continued on, and the Fed said, fuck it, we're going to drop all the papers. So they dropped all the papers. Now, supposedly, according to the Commonwealth, the case is all done and no arrests were made. That's probably because you're doing this shit. They got to wait till you're done with your monarchy and bullshit. They got to wait. Sadly, they got to wait. They can't intervene with state fucking prosecutions. They can't. As much as they'd like to. But, they can take you to trial afterwards and make you do, Fed time. Do your state time with your Fed time. Fed time, then state time. You know what I mean. Anyways, so either this week or next week, I'm hoping to just finish with her with all this dumb bullshit because I don't know how much more I can take. I'm really doing this so I could get, I was hoping like more people would come in, but they don't give a fuck. They only care about the real trial. So I got other shit I could do. I could do the Melly. I could talk about Young Thug. I could do other shit, like, in all honesty, because this trial is coming up. I could do Lori Vallow. She's representing herself, and I love her shit show. So, and I'd like to see the state fucking prove that, too. Like, I just have a hard time with these conspiracies. Like, unless there's, like, hard evidence, like, hard fucking evidence, that you agreed to or were in agreement with, you know, that stuff, then I'm all for it. But like when I don't know if you were in agreement with somebody to, hey, will you take this person out type shit, that's when I get a little wonky. I mean, shit. There's a lot more stuff I could cover. Probably a lot more that other people would be interested in. Because we've already seen this shit and she's coming up for trial again.
And so on that evening, your daughter had a basketball game, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And who did she play for at that time?
She played for Canton High School.
You got to do you got to do alternates, Kevin. You can't just, you know, just in case somebody gets sick, somebody has a freaking hardship, somebody, you know, is giving people the wrong impression. Because last time, you know, they were just making alternates for anybody that was on Karen Read's side. I really don't think this lottery bullshit is right. Like, no. I think the fucking, the what do you call it? The lawyers should be able to pick the fucking alternates. I really do. And I'm sorry, but I don't like the whole, the Commonwealth gets a say too. I don't like that shit. You're the one bringing it forward. So if I got to get judged by 12 people of my peers, let me fucking pick them. You're telling me you want 12 strangers that I don't know, you know, their ass from a hole in the ground. That's okay. But for me not to be able to pick who judges me, fuck out of here. Our system is screwed. It's so screwed. I'm ready to flip the table over. Shit.
Yes.
Tired of
And
it.
which of your daughters, as far as age is concerned, which of your daughters was playing basketball for Canton High School?
That would be my second oldest, who's my second oldest.
And so you
Exactly.
after work had met some other people at an establishment in Canton, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Where did you go?
The establishment was called the Canton Junction Pub or Canton Junction. I don't know the full name, but just went by the Junction.
Shut up.
And who, if anyone, did you meet there?
Why do we care about
handful
this
of
shit?
folks that
We
play
should only
whose daughters play
care
basketball on the same team
What the fuck
with my daughter.
happened the night the John O'Keefe died?
Yes, that's correct.
Was your wife Jennifer there with you at that time as well?
Yes, that's correct.
And about how long were you at the Junction?
Game 6:30, give or take hour and a half.
And girls varsity basketball, was there sort of like a typical time that the game would start before game was scheduled for?
Yes.
And what time is that?
Typically 6 or 6:30 would be the normal time. I don't remember if it was a 6:30 start that night or actually I think it was a 6:30 start, but typically 6 or 6:30.
Sometime around 6 or 6:30, you made your way over to the high school. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And, I mean, this was a home game, a road game, if you recall.
That evening it was a home game.
Do you recall anything about the game as far as who they were playing or if they won or anything like that?
Yes, it was. They were playing the town of Foxborough High School, and they did not win. They went into overtime and lost.
Now, with respect to your wife, Jennifer, as kids were growing up, what if any relationship did she have?
Hell yeah, she could. So could her son.
As like the youth years, Jennifer was a basketball coach and coached throughout the years, coached a couple of my daughters.
Let me get through this.
And with respect to the daughter that was playing in the high school game that night, that one of the daughters that she coached.
Yes, that's correct.
Fair to assume she also coached several of the girls that were on the varsity basketball team with your daughter, correct?
Yes, a few of them, yes.
Okay, who cares about her doing this, her doing that? Who gives a fuck? Get to the goddamn
Yes, we
point.
sit up in the bleachers. Usually the parents from the home side would tend to sit in the same area.
So you sit there, you watch the
Blah,
game,
yada, yada,
game is over, and then what is sort of the plan from there, or where do you go?
After the game, I drove my younger two daughters back home.
So your whole family was there for the game?
I don't care about what they did.
My wife and my two younger daughters. My older daughter was there. She wasn't with us, but she was there as well.
She was a student in high school.
I want to know.
Yes, she was.
So she's sitting with the other students, is that correct?
Yes, I'm assuming. I don't recall where she sat, but most likely with the other students.
So you drove two daughters home, and then where did you go from there?
After dropping my daughters off, my wife and I proceeded to the waterfall in Canton Center.
And do you recall what you were just in one vehicle when you left the house and went to the junction and went to the high school game, back to the house?
Him and that
same vehicle?
Yes, we were in the same vehicle.
And do you recall what kind of vehicle it was or whose vehicle it was?
It was the family vehicle. It was my wife's vehicle. I don't know, what was it? It was a Suburban or a Yukon. I forget what brand it was.
some kind of SUV.
Oh, you mean
large
it
SUV.
wasn't a sedan?
And why'd you go to waterfall?
God, Colin said it was
We
a
went to the
sedan.
waterfall. My wife informed me that her sister was at the waterfall with her niece and a few other people, and we went to go meet them. My understanding, it was my nephew's birthday, either that day or the day after, and they were going to meet out at the waterfall for his birthday.
And just to be clear, as far as we're talking about your wife's sister, what's her name?
Nicole Albert.
And does Nicole marry?
Yes, she is.
And what's her husband's name?
Brian Albert.
And the niece that you're talking about that was out there with your sister-in-law, what's her name?
Her name is Caitlin Albert.
And the nephew of yours whose birthday it was or was going to be, what's his name?
His name is Brian as well.
So essentially Brian Albert.
Brian and Brian and
Yes, I
Brian.
believe it's Junior. Yes.
Now, with regard to the basketball parents and the other people that you had been with at the junction and then at the game, what if any communication was there amongst sort of the basketball parents that evening or any other?
Yeah, so we had a group text with the basketball parents, a handful of us. After some of the games, we would meet up afterwards. This evening, I know we sent I sent a text out saying where we were going because we were obviously meeting her sister. And a few of the parents responded where they were going. We kind of split up, except for one couple decided to meet us at the waterfall out of that group text.
Right.
That would be Nick and Karina Kolakis.
That's why I couldn't go. That's why I couldn't be a lawyer. Like I couldn't do the let me pucker up and kiss your ass type shit to the fucking state. I can't do that. Yes, I could be cordial, but at the same fucking time, like I'm there to represent my client only. If my client says, hey, I really want to fight this, yes, I would bring dose to him, but I wouldn't tell these motherfuckers to make it, especially if they really think that they're, really say that they're fucking innocent.
When you arrive at the waterfall, you would like to recall where it was that you parked in relation to the waterfall?
Yes, if you're looking at the front door of the waterfall, we were parked in the parking lot down the left.
Who gives a fuck? Just tell
And
me.
waterfall sort of shares its parking lot or its establishment with the.
Hurry up, sir.
That is correct.
Shut up.
Correct.
Tell me about what happened
And
inside.
when you came into the waterfall, who, if anyone, did you see there, and then where did you?
When we walked into the waterfall, we identified where Jen's sister and their party was sitting.
Where were they sitting in relation to?
Oh my God, they were sitting.
When you
at
walk in
fucking
the front door,
My God,
I believe there's
for
three
fuck's
long
sake.
tables that are set up. We passed. They were in the third table, long table closest to the bar. Across from, there was also a band. They were right across from a little band.
There was a live band there as well.
Yes, there was.
Prior to you and your wife entering into the waterfall,
What were you drinking? He's gonna say beer, so he doesn't look like
Yes,
he's
on the car ride
off his
from
ass.
my house to the waterfall, and while I was in the parking lot,
Bullshit.
I was
Only
talking
one that
to
was
a friend of mine.
drinking
on the
heavy
phone.
was Karen.
What the
Fucking lies.
conversation was about.
Like alcohol.
Yes.
What was it?
It was about my daughter, my oldest daughter, Allie, who we mentioned.
Another thing that fucking irritates me is this motherfucker's like downplaying the alcohol. If you, whatever you drink, you're gonna get drunk. No, I mean, yes, there's more potent alcohol than the other, but still, I mean, drunk is drunk. It don't fucking matter. For fuck's sakes. And they try to downplay it. Oh, I was drinking White Claws or beers. But Karen was drinking fucking vodka. What the fuck?
It was about her hockey team and her hockey coach. I was talking to one of the hockey coaches.
And when you were talking to this person, this is inside the car, is that correct?
That is correct.
And
That's probably
despite
why I
being sort
don't
of
get
wife's car, was
any
your
viewers.
phone hooked up to
I go
the
the
speakers,
fuck
or
out.
Bluetooth or anything like that?
I don't know if I connected mine to the Bluetooth or not. I don't recall if I was connected to the Bluetooth.
Oh
or not.
my God,
I know my
who
phone connects, so
cares?
possibly. I don't know for sure if it was 100% connected that evening.
Now, with respect to it being your wife's car, is there, when both of you are in the car, is there sort of a default as to which of your phones would connect to the Bluetooth, yours versus hers?
If look at it that way, it would be my wife's because it was her car.
So the car would probably recognize her device over your device, correct?
That is correct.
Now,
Actually, I started the call definitely on my phone because my kids were, I was on the call for a while. So I think I had the kids still in the car when I was dropping them off.
In
So
the car.
I wouldn't have them listening to the call. So I must have been on, again, I don't remember, but I must have been listening on my, holding it in my hand.
Okay.
when you come into the waterfall, recall about what time that was.
I did 9 o'clock, give or take a couple minutes.
Again, you come over to a table closest to the bar, and who's in the group when you get there?
When we arrived, it was Nicole, Caitlin, Caitlin's boyfriend, Tristan, Chris Albert, and Julie Albert. We were also joined by Nick Kolakisis, who I mentioned, I just don't remember if Nick was already in or if Nick walked in right after me, but Nick and I, we got there similar times. I just don't know if he was already sitting in the bar or standing there when I walked in, or if he came in right after. Oh, and Jen, obviously.
And to be clear, people that were with you at this high top table in this sort of group, either then that you're talking about or throughout the course of the evening, these were people that were either sort of family or friends of yours or your wife?
Oh, yes, that's correct. Yeah, family and friends, correct.
And so whether or not you and Mr. Kolakisis came in at the same time or slightly staggered, at some point he came in as well, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Irritates me.
And with respect, obviously you were out and you were at a bar, correct?
Yes.
And from what you recall, you were drinking and most, if not all, the other people were drinking as well?
Yes, yeah, everybody at the table.
What were
to my
you
recollection, was
drinking? Go ahead and
And,
say
do you
White
recall
Claws or
specifically what you were
beer.
drinking?
Like, oh,
I do.
well, let's downplay that we were really
I was drinking
drunk.
vodka with water and a splash of Crystal Light.
Oh,
And
you were
that's
drinking vodka.
something that you
Holy
normally
shit.
drink?
Somebody fucking honest.
And why were you drinking out of that?
I was in a diet competition with other people in the town, so I was trying to stay away from any beer, which would be what I typically would drink.
And as far as your observations of the other people there throughout the course of the night, did you know anyone in your group either at that time or subsequent in the night?
Why don't you
to
drink
be
light
sort of
beer?
overly
That's what
intoxicated
people on
or
a diet
drunk or
do,
anything like that?
motherfucker.
No.
And as far as the other people in your group, as far as drinking was concerned, at that time or any time later in the night, was their drinking sort of commensurate with the amount that you were drinking?
I wasn't paying attention to see who was drinking, how much they were drinking. You know, I don't even know how many I had.
He had a
Maybe
clear glass
at least 3, maybe 5.
Let's,
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
Bring that up too.
You know, but give or take something there. But again, I wasn't paying attention to see if anybody
I'm
was
gonna be in
drinking
the
faster than
chat,
somebody else or
so,
et cetera.
Yeah. Well,
And
he
in that sense,
mumbles
sort of how
on
long were you
her
at the watch?
bullshit.
Got there at 9 and left a little after 12, so a little over 3 hours.
So roughly 9 o'clock through about midnight or so, correct?
Yes, a little. I recall leaving a little after midnight. Correct.
Now, the initial group that you walked over to around the time that you got there, did that group expand or contract? Did people come or leave? Or can you explain sort of the order of that over the course of the evening?
Yes. Shortly after we settled in, Nick's wife showed up. Could have been 15, 20 minutes. I don't remember the exact time, but Nick's wife, Karina, came. And give or take 45 minutes, an hour after that, Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins showed up. And around 11-ish, give or take, I don't know the exact time, Karen Read and John O'Keefe showed up as well.
Let me ask you a little bit about some of those other. But let me ask first about as far as Caitlin's boyfriend is Morris. How long was he there now?
I don't recall how long he was there. I do know he left. He had mentioned something about working that evening. There was obviously a snowstorm coming in that evening, and he had mentioned that he was going to go home for a little bit before he had to go out and I don't know if he was plowing or shoveling or doing something, but he was going to be going out that evening to plow, I believe.
And Christopher Albert and Brian Albert, they're brothers, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Christopher Albert's wife is Julie Albert, is that correct?
Yes.
And she is also friends with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Yes.
And been so for years, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes, they've been friends for years.
Now, you mentioned someone by the name of Brian Higgins. Did you know Brian Higgins prior to that evening?
Yes.
And how did you know?
I had met Brian a few times, social settings. I recall meeting him at the Junction one evening. I believe I met him at a graduation party. I don't know how many times I met Brian, but I met him maybe 3, 4 times. I don't know exactly how many. So I knew who he was.
You knew who he was as far as he was friend or friendly with your brother-in-law, Brian Albert, correct?
Yes.
And that's how you knew him, was through Brian Albert?
Yes.
And do you know where Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins had been prior to them coming to the waterfall?
Yes, I was informed that they were in New York, coming back from New York from a funeral of a New York police officer.
And both of them, as far as you knew, Brian Albert Sr. and Brian Higgins, they were in law enforcement, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that at some point around 11 or so, John O'Keefe and Karen Read came into the waterfall, correct?
Yes.
And just to be clear, when you speak of Karen Read, that's someone that you had met prior to this evening as well?
Yes, that's correct.
And by purposes, for the record, do you see Ms. Read in courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you just describe as to where she's seated or not?
She's seated at the table with her attorneys. You want me to describe her clothing? Black, I don't know, sweater, I'm not sure, dress.
I just asked the record reflect identification.
Yes.
Now, with regard to Mr. O'Keefe first, how was it that you knew Mr. O'Keefe?
I've met John O'Keefe when he started to be the caretaker for his niece and nephew after their parents had passed.
And specifically, you're referring to Patrick and Kaylee Bush, is that correct?
That is correct.
Their mother and father tragically passed away, and Mr. O'Keefe then became their guardian, correct?
That is correct.
And when you met Mr. O'Keefe, is that when you were living at the house on Sutcliffe?
Yes.
And where was that house in relation to where Mr. O'Keefe initially lived with his niece and nephew?
A couple hundred yards two different streets. It's a neighborhood with multiple streets. My house was on Sutcliffe. Drive down Sutcliffe, maybe pass 1, 2, 3, 4 houses. Took a right, and that was John. That was the street that the kids lived on. Maybe 4 houses up on the right.
And with reference to, you mentioned that you had 4 daughters. Is that correct?
Yes.
And were any of your daughters around the same age as John's niece, Kaylee?
Yes, my third daughter is the same age, same grade as Kaylee.
And about this time that John had moved in his house, close to the house you were living on Sutcliffe, about how old was your daughter and his niece, Kaylee?
Ooh, I believe it was kindergarten. How old would you be in kindergarten? 7? I don't know.
I think kindergarten's plus. So fair to say they were very young, correct?
Yes.
And with reference to the kids, what, if any, beyond sort of being neighbors, what, if any, relationship did either you or your wife have with regard to Mr. O'Keefe and specifically his niece and nephew?
I'm sorry. Just the door. I was trying to. No, the door was shaking, so I couldn't hear the end of it.
So around that time that Mr. O'Keefe moved in with his niece and nephew and took over guardianship of them.
Yes.
What, if any, relationship beyond being neighbors did yourself and or your wife have with respect to Mr. O'Keefe and the kids?
Oh, yeah, we had a good relationship, especially my wife. She was having the kids the same age, Kaylee, and my daughter. She was very involved with helping him out, whether it was rides to various events. Throughout those years, I'd also coached Kaylee myself a couple times in soccer, and my wife also coached her in basketball. So play dates, things of that nature. Various times we'd go out with John, where he would meet up somewhere where we were. So a friendly relationship where, John was, in essence, acting as a mother and a father. And so you do a lot of communicating through my wife in regards to needing help and things of that nature.
And in particular, his niece Kaylee and your daughter, who was around the same age, were they friends?
Yes, they were friends.
And about how close were they, particularly around that younger age?
They were very close in the young age. Kaylee would spend a lot of time at our house, spend a lot of time sleeping over. So they were very close.
And Kaylee in particular, was she, how close was she with your wife, Jennifer?
Kaylee was close with Jen. Kaylee was mature, well beyond the other girls in regards to she was bright, and she was very articulate. So she could have conversations with the adults much better than the other kids. Having 4 girls, she was a bright kid.
Now, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe and the kids moved from that house, and you also moved from the house on Sutcliffe, correct?
That is correct.
And do you recall the order of that? Was it you to move first, or they to move first?
I'm pretty sure I moved first. Yes.
And about how far away from the house on Sutcliffe was your new house?
It's right up the street, driving in a car, 2 minutes. I don't know, mile and a half. I'm not sure the exact distance, but not far away.
And where did John and the kids move to?
They moved a little further away from, they're probably a couple miles away, 2.5, 3 miles. Again, I don't know the exact distance. Not far. That side of town, everything's fairly close.
And specifically, they moved to a house on Meadows Avenue. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And the nature of your relationship, you and your wife's relationship with John and the kids and your daughter and Kaylee, did that sort of continue throughout after each of you moved from the original neighborhood?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the defendant, Ms. Reed, when was it that you first met her?
It's COVID 2020. We met her summertime of, I think it was the COVID year. It was 2020 summer.
Can you recall the circumstances of that or how you came to meet her at that time?
Yes, I do.
Could you explain to the jury what were the circumstances? Where did you meet her?
John had reached out to my wife, Jen. It was on a Saturday. I don't know if they connected that Saturday or the Friday, but they connected. John asked if he could come by the house with the kids. We have a pool, so he wanted to come by with the kids swimming and wanted to introduce Karen to us. Specifically wanted to introduce Karen to my wife, Jen.
You know why that was?
Yes, because they were dating, and he informed my wife that Karen had MS, and my wife has MS. So he thought it'd be good for the two of them to get to know each other, could have conversations with each other, obviously both suffering from MS.
How long has your wife suffered from MS?
I'm going to say, I think she's been suffering for a while, but I'm going to say her diagnosis, maybe 9 years. I don't remember the exact date. I'm going to say about 9 years.
And so, Mr. O'Keefe, Ms. Reed, the defendant, and 2 children came over to the house that day. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And about how often did you see Ms. Reed from that summer of 2020 until about the time of January 2022?
I would see her. There was a couple other times that John and Karen came by the house with the kids, and also see her at sporting events, whether it was soccer or whether it was basketball. Would see her at events, whether it was practices, picking somebody up. I would see Karen around.
And as far as you knew, or what, if anything, let me ask you this. As far as your relationship with Mr. O'Keefe, is someone he was dating or what was going on with someone he was dating's relationship, is that the kind of thing that the two of you would discuss?
You're asking John and I, if he would, no, John and I don't recall ever having any conversations about his relationships with me directly.
And that applies to the defendant, Ms. Reed, or applies to any other relationship you had while you were friends, correct?
Correct.
Now, turning your attention back to the waterfall on the evening of the 28th, when Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant come in, where is it that they went in relation to the group at the high top when they first came in?
They came in and immediately made contact with us, walked right over to our table.
And when they came over to the table, what if anything happened when they came over to the table?
Hi, shaking hands, hugging. How you guys doing? Good to see you. Typical meet and greet when you see somebody that you're friends with.
And if you recall, was there a particular sort of side of the table, or where were you situated in relation to the table, and who, if anyone, was situated around?
Yes, if I was to be looking at the table, long table, I spent most of the time at the end of the table, kind of in the corner on the right side. Nick Kolakis was right next to me. There was a wall. It's kind of thin. Table ends. There's a little space and there's a wall right behind you. Nick was there. I was there. Jen, Karina were on this side most of the time. Brian and Brian were on the opposite side of the table, my recollection. I mean, there was obviously some movement around, but I spent most of the time, again, if the table's coming across, standing on the end. I did sit down for a little bit, if I recall, but definitely on the edge of the long table.
Is it fair to say that Kolakis didn't really know anybody at the table besides yourself and your wife?
Fair to say. They obviously knew who John was. They have a daughter as well, the same age as Kaylee. I don't know if they hung out with them, but fair to say that obviously it was my family and was there, Jen's family. So yes, I'd say in general, correct. You get water.
Here come the sirens when you're lying and full of shit.
I'm sorry, if I could ask, as far as Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, do you recall anything about what he was wearing that night?
I recall a baseball cap, and he tends to brim it over a little bit, and he had shirt and jeans. I don't know exactly what he was wearing.
Do you recall seeing him at any point in time with any kind of winter coat or heavy coat or anything like that?
Not that I recall. If he had one on, he had one on. I don't recall it.
And as far as his person, his features, what you could see, what, if any, injuries did you observe on him at that time?
I did not see any injuries.
And do you recall what John was drinking that night?
I believe he was drinking Bud Light beer.
Is that pretty typical for him?
Majority of times I saw John, yes, he was drinking Bud Light. I do recall when he came to my house for that first meet, he was drinking Bud Light Limes, which I thought was interesting, but it was at a pool, and maybe it was a summer drink for him. I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
I think I gave him a hard time.
Now, with reference to Ms. Reed that night, what, if anything, did you observe her to be drinking or how?
She was drinking a clear liquid. I just assumed it was a vodka soda or vodka something.
And as far as
it could have been water.
I'll leave that alone for now. But absent crystal light, was it similar to the drink that you were having that night?
Yes, could have been vodka water. Exactly. I don't know.
Now, do you know where the two of them, being Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant, do you know where they had come from prior to coming into the waterfall?
John had said they were came over from across the street from CF McCarthy's.
Come on already. Jeez.
Now, let me ask you, as far as you were going to the waterfall, or your understanding was that it was your nephew, Brian Howard Jr.'s birthday, correct?
Yes.
And was he at the waterfall any time that you were there?
No.
And at some point, did you learn where he was?
Yes, I learned he was still home.
And was there any conversation, or do you know why he was still home?
My understanding was I thought we were waiting for him. He never showed up. My understanding was he chose to stay home. I had a couple friends over the house.
Now, from the time that you were in, the waterfall, how would you describe sort of the mood or the demeanor of sort of the group at large?
Everybody was just having a good time, hanging out, socializing, talking. As I said, there was a live band playing for a little bit, and just a normal evening.
Just a normal
evening. As far as
even though they were grab-assing and all that great stuff in the fucking bar.
Sort of fighting or arguing or anything like that you observed between the two of them over the course of the evening at the waterfall?
No, I did not.
Nothing at all.
You mentioned that you had left the waterfall sometime after midnight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And before we get to that, over the course of the evening at the waterfall, did you have occasion to have conversation with either Mr. O'Keefe or the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And would that be both?
Yes.
And starting with Mr. O'Keefe, what, if any, conversation, generally speaking, do you recall having with Mr. O'Keefe that evening?
I believe that night I think that night he was out because Kaylee, maybe they just got the acceptance from Kaylee. He was excited about her acceptance to school, Bishop Fian, a local high school.
And that was something that you were aware of that she applied for to get into that school, correct?
Yes.
And with respect to Ms. Reed, what if any conversations you recall in regard to her?
Normal conversation. She, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. She made a reference to myself asking how Jen and I do it. And I said, she was talking about with 4 girls. How do we do it? How do you raise the 4 girls? You guys look happy. And I actually joked to her. I said, well, we're at a bar. Considering, it's obviously any marriage will tell you have your ups and downs. But brief, conversational, nothing of any substance. Just good to see you.
Now, this time that you're talking about that you're leaving shortly after midnight, is that around the time that sort of the bar was winding down for the evening?
Yes.
The band that had been playing before, were they still playing? Or
No, they had stopped earlier, before 12. I don't remember the exact time, but they definitely stopped earlier. There were some people there, but our table was definitely the last table to wrap it up. Well, some people left before me, but the band was packing up packing up all their equipment.
And so in that vein, if you recall, can you tell the jury sort of the order of people from your group and when they left and things like that?
Yes. So Brian, Albert, Brian Higgins, and Nicole were packed up, leaving before us. Then my wife, Karen, Karina, John and Chris, they started leaving before us. I think John was delayed, but they walked out, and Nick and I were the last 2 at the table. I recall us picking up some of the empty glasses and beer bottles, and because I said the bar was right behind us, so I recall picking up the glasses and some of the bottles and bring them to the bar, as well as a couple of the members of the band were sitting on the edge of the bar, and just some brief conversation with them. Good job, guys coming back, things of that nature. And then Nick and I walked out.
Now, over the
I
course
thought
of the
you
evening
left
at the
with
waterfall,
John.
while you were there, what if any conversation was had amongst the group in regard to any plans of where to next, or where people were going after what?
Yes. As mentioned, thought we were going to meet my nephew. He didn't come out. We found out he had a few friends at the house. When Brian and Nicole were leaving, they had mentioned that Brian was at the house with a couple friends, and we were welcome to come back and have a celebratory drink for his birthday. So he had extended an invite to the table, like, hey, who's ever around, wants to come back, you're welcome.
Right.
So that was sort of extended to the entirety of the group, is that correct?
That is correct.
And so what was your understanding, at least as far as your plan, you and your wife, Jennifer, when you were leaving the waterfall?
That we'd be stopping by Brian and Nicole's house.
And so prior to that discussion regarding stopping by your brother-in-law, Brian Albert's house, what if any discussion was there in regard to your to his brother, Christopher Albert? Let me ask you, what if any other discussion, other than going to your brother-in-law, Brian Albert's house, was there at the table in regard to places to go after?
Yes. There was discussion about going to D&E Pizza.
What does it matter?
That's a pizza sub shop that Chris Albert owns in Campbell Center, which is 100 yards, whatever, across the street from the waterfall.
Thanks, you take
And
the
can you describe what was the substance of that discussion and who was involved in that discussion?
Yes, the discussion is we've done that in the past. We've wrapped up for the night. We've gone over there and turned the ovens on and have made some pizza. In this particular instance, Karen had asked if we could do that. She wanted to go to D&E. She wanted to make pizza. Chris and I were adamant that we were not going to D&E because we were on this diet and we were not going to go
Oh my God.
subject ourselves to late night pizza.
Oh,
So we said no,
Who
we're not
gives a
going to
fuck?
D&E. Though we had conversations,
Being at your
kind of wanted to go, but
brother-
we kept saying no, we're not going to go.
You say you
Jesus,
kept
I
saying that's
forgot
something
how
that the
long-winded
defendant raised once or more than once?
fucking goddamn
More than once.
pictures were.
Now, when you leave you and Mr. Olakitas and you walk out of the waterfall, you go over to your car in the parking lot, is that right?
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
And again, by your car, I mean your wife Jennifer's car, is that right?
Yes,
And where was she in relation to the car when you did?
she was already in the car.
So let me ask you, as far as where was she seated within the
Oh, sorry, she was in the driver's seat.
So you get in the front.
What
passenger
does
side,
it
is that right?
matter? They all were
that's correct.
driving drunk. Who
And,
cares?
when you get into the car, what, if any, communication did you become aware of between your wife and Mr. Oak?
When I got into the vehicle, my wife received a text from John and it said where
Right,
to.
like we don't
He
need
was
to
looking for the
like
address.
whole day before.
I told my wife we were starting to drive out of the parking lot. I told her just call him.
The only days before we
instead of
need
texting
are
me
Rather than text while
the
she's
ones
driving,
that
you
people
just
think
call
that
back.
Correct.
did it. You know,
Did you
I
call?
mean, those
She
are
did.
the people.
And with respect to that Bluetooth that we were discussing earlier within the car, this
You're
call
just
from
the
your wife Jennifer to
accessory
John
after
Keefe,
the
was that
fact.
using
Bullshit.
Bluetooth technology?
I'm assuming it was. I don't recall, but I knew he was on the phone asking what the address was.
Let me ask you this: could you hear both sides of the conversation?
I could hear him. Yes.
So you heard your wife talking and you heard John, correct?
Yes.
And as far as that
They
communication
should.
with reference to where to
They
or
only
where
wanted
go,
to
the address,
charge her.
describe to the
They
jury sort of what that
downplayed them drinking. They downplayed them drinking and driving. They all, and you're police officers for criminy sakes. You're police officers and you're drinking and driving. There's an oath that you uphold that you're not going to break the law. And you're breaking the law because why? You're a cop and you'll get away with it. My brother's the select boardman, right? My brother-in-law is a select boardman. I'll be all right. My wife's best friend. Da, da, da. All this other dumb shit. Like, this is sickening. This is absolutely sickening. This right here should be a motherfucking RICO. Not no Young Thug or anybody else. This should be a RICO. Fuck.
Conversation was the address 34 Fairview. And I actually was definitely mumbling stuff from my seat saying, come out, take a right, take a left on Sherman and 35.
Yeah, but they also, I mean, they remember enough. They fucking remember enough. Yes, Karen may not have remembered, you know, half the shit. I mean, she probably went home and drank some more because fucking John wasn't there. He left her. You know, they were supposed to hang out the weekend. And he fucking dodges her. She's not knowing what the fuck goes on. And then she wakes up in the middle of the fucking night and freaks out. I don't blame the woman. And all these fucking doofuses, they don't give a fuck when they say, oh, that's my friend. He's being forgotten. You're the ones that are making him be forgotten. You're the ones. Because you didn't allow them to investigate. Why? Because maybe you have a fucking role in it one way or another. His wife was way too fucking involved.
Fairview. And that was that initial call, was just giving him the address and telling him to Sherman's easiest way.
And so when you say that initial call, was there a subsequent call while you were still en route to the 34th Fairview?
Yes, there was a call a few minutes later. Somehow, I don't know why.
And they're not all bad. Like, I don't take anything away from cops that actually do their job. Live by the law, you know. I mean, practice what they fucking preach type deal, you know. If you're going to uphold the law, you better be following it too. Just like, you know, politicians and shit. You have an oath. And this is sickening. Just because you hold some public fucking high status, or, well, in your guys' minds, it's a high status. You're just a normal person doing a public civic job that get paid fucking buku bucks, but you're nobody better than anybody else. And if we got to follow the law, you motherfuckers got to follow the law. I really got to quit swearing, but this pisses me off.
But somehow they didn't know where the house was. I recall, again, my assumption would be they'd come from Sherman, from Chapman Street. We referenced,
hey,
my wife referenced
Wally,
a friend
you didn't
of
ask him. Hold on.
Kaylee's.
Wally, you didn't ask him if Chapman Street was an incline or a decline. You didn't ask him that.
Who lives off of Fairview. We said, well, you know where this child lives? He said, yes. Okay.
Whoa. See, your wife says that Karen brought that up. Really? So she put it in her mind way before that John was cheating because, oh, it's by an ex-girlfriend of John's where the child lives. Now that I'm going over this, man, they do tell on themselves. I forgot. Like they don't get their story 100% facts because she didn't say, Jen McCabe doesn't, I don't recall her saying this about the child until the next morning.
Hey, drive past her street and the house will come up on the left.
And the friend of Kaylee's, what was her name?
Her name is Bella.
So
he's trying to put that in the mind, like, oh, well, Karen was right there when we talked to him. Like, maybe she was on speakerphone too, you know? How do you fucking know that she was on fucking speakerphone? See, you're making it seem like they got in a fight. Nobody said they got in a fight. Nobody's seen them fighting. All they seen was her waiting in the car by herself, but no, the man was gone. The man was gone. That's it. The man was gone. Where'd he go? He vanished in thin air and then ended up on the lawn? Is that what we're going with? Or no, she ran him over and she was over top of him. And so they didn't see him underneath her car until she left. Right? Is that what we're going to go with? Okay. This is so dumb. So see, he's already trying to bring a conflict in that oh, she got mad over get out of stuff. She got mad over this stuff, you know? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Someone, you recall whether it was you or your wife that made reference to the fellow's house?
I think we both did. I think I said it, and then I think my wife repeated it.
And that was someone, the Bella child was someone who was friends with both your daughter and with Kaylee, is that correct?
Yes.
Around the same age?
Exact same age, same grade.
Now, when you were talking on this second conversation, again, you could hear both sides of the conversation, is that right?
That's correct.
And as far as Mr. O'Keefe's side of the conversation, what, if anything, can you say as far as who was coming or who he was with at the time?
He didn't make any reference to. You're asking if he made reference of anybody else? Is that what you're asking?
What I'm asking is when he was saying as far as looking for the house. Was
Well, because they were giving John O'Keefe directions to her sister's house, right? So they were talking on speaker, but who's to know if Karen was on? I mean, if John was on speaker. So they're bringing up we brought up Bill, his ex-girlfriend. So she may have got jealous and started fighting with him. I don't think so. Like, that doesn't equate to her wanting to hurt him. It does. She knows how much loss he has gone through because she's been there. She has been there. And you dirty, rotten mother effers also know what he went through. But you...
We're on our way. Okay, great. We're on our way.
And from, obviously, your interaction that you have with him saying...
Two people can get in a fight, okay? We all can get in a fight. But if somebody loses their life, that's when you're held accountable. Like, he could have agreed. He could have been like, yeah, let's box it out, right? He wasn't ambushed. He wanted to fight, but then he got jumped. You know what I'm saying? He could have done that stuff. And, oh my gosh. But the minute that he got really injured to where he was losing his life and they didn't call the paramedics, yes, you need to be held accountable. Held accountable. You didn't do jack shit to fucking help him.
We would infer that we...
Karen.
And at any point in time during the conversation that you had, where you were hearing both sides, did you hear Miss Reed in the background at any point?
I do not recall hearing Miss Reed, no.
Oh, well then guess what? Guess what? If you didn't hear Miss Reed on the fucking phone, he wasn't on speaker, you dummy.
Our drive visits, how long a drive visit?
So he probably never heard that Bella story. But your wife made sure she said something about it the next morning, supposedly.
The way I would go, 4 minutes, give or take, 5 minutes. There's multiple ways, but depends on how you go, I guess.
And the way that you go, as far as what you're talking about, is that your recollection of how or where your wife drove that night?
All the crap that they let in this damn case is sickening. As
far as when you arrive at the house, where did your wife park the vehicle in relation?
Flabbergasted.
She pulled the vehicle into the driveway.
And you're obviously familiar with the address or the residence at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, I am.
Been there several times before this evening?
Yes, I have.
And essentially, there's two garage doors on the house. There's one on the left, one on the right. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not your wife parked on the left side of the driveway or the right?
Thank God there's only fucking
I believe it was the left, but the driveway is fairly wide. It kind of widens out, not just the two doors. So I don't know if she was right on the left where the walkway is, or if she was one kind of more in the middle, because that driveway you could pull up even on the right of her, but somewhere I don't know exactly. But she pulled into the driveway.
So she pulls in the driveway. She parks. You guys go in the house, correct?
Yes.
When you get inside the house, who, if anyone, do you observe there?
When we entered the house, we observed Caitlin, Brian Jr. Brian had two friends there, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, Brian Higgins, and Brian Abbott Sr.
And where?
Did I say Nicole? Nicole, I don't know if I said Nicole.
And where in the house were they situated?
When I recall, everybody was congregated when you walk in the front door, to your right, there's a table, and then there's an open floor where it goes right to the kitchen and the room with the table. They just flow into each other. So people are surrounding either the island in the kitchen or the table area.
Sir.
And from your recollection, essentially, were people mainly congregated throughout the course of the night that you were there?
Yes.
And about how long a period of time were you there at 34 Fairview that night?
there, I'd say a little over an hour. No, hour and 40, got there about 12:20-ish, left 1:40, 1:45. I don't know the exact time, 1:40, 1:45-ish. So.
You got there somewhere closer to 12:30 and you left somewhere closer to about 1:45, 2 a.m. Is that correct?
Got there about 12:20, give or take, and then, yeah, left about 1:40, 1:45. I don't know the specific time, but somewhere around there.
And similar to the question I asked you about the waterfall, as far as the, how would you describe sort of the mood or the demeanor of the group in the house when you got there?
Oh, everybody was hanging out. I know Julie was excited. We just showed up. Good to see us. Brian, excited that we came by. Normal?
So, fair to say no tension, no arguments, nothing like that while you were at the house?
No.
And do you recall sort of what you were doing while you were at the house, or what the group was doing?
Kind of hanging out, talking, sitting around the table, engaging. Music was on. Just having a good time, just hanging out, talking, enjoying each other's company. I do recall my wife put on a foolish video that she wanted to show the kids at the table.
Was sitting there,
But other than that,
out the window every 5
just socially
seconds,
hanging out with each other.
but didn't see when it happened. Supposedly.
Yes.
Fuck out of here.
It was a video for the song "It's Raining
I
Men."
don't care what anybody says.
And you recall, generally speaking, what was in the video, why it was a foolish video as you described?
Well, it's a in the family. It's one of Jen's sisters had put on a show before with an umbrella. So at some point, my wife came across this video, and it was people just dancing around. So she was showing my niece and my nephew and the friends the video so they could see. We're kind of picking on my sister-in-law.
That was like at 2 in the morning, sir, when she made the
nephew
Google
by the name of,
search.
I'm sorry. Are you familiar? You mentioned that earlier at the waterfall. There was Christopher and Julie Albert. Is that right?
Yes.
But your timeline's messed up. It's not the
yes.
same as hers.
And you know their children as well. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And specifically, you know their middle child, Colin.
Yes.
And at any point in time in the evening when you were there at 34 Fairview Road, was
Oh my
Colin Albert there at
God.
any point?
No, he was not.
Of course you're gonna lie.
Never saw him.
And obviously, you know,
Never
you
is a
got that,
lie.
correct?
Yes, I do.
Anybody that answers with never is lying. I don't care who you are.
And at any point in time when you were at 34 Fairview, did you see her or vehicle or anything? Did you have any knowledge that your daughter Allie was there at the time you were there?
No, she was not.
She wasn't there. You didn't see her there. You didn't know if she had been there before you or anything like that.
Correct. Correct.
Now, turning back into the house, as far as the group that you were with, was there any point in time that anyone from that group?
God,
that-
he's so
that sort of general
comfortable
area of
lying.
the dining room
I
and
never
kitchen
noticed
you
that.
recall?
He doesn't show any stress when he lies.
We were in that room. There's a room right next to the kitchen with a doorway that you can walk through. I was seated at the table, but you could walk through the doorway. You know, I know Julie Nagel went into that room because she was looking out the door. And other people could have walked in and out of that room. It's right there, right next to us.
At any point in time over the course of that evening, did you see anybody sort of go upstairs or downstairs to the basement or anywhere
Anybody.
else? General area
So
of the
Colin
room
could have
and
walked
home?
in and out.
I did not see anybody.
No, huh?
Now, at some point, you mentioned that Julie Nagel was looking outside for something. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How long was that in reference to after you arrived and then when that happened?
Again, I don't know the exact time. I'm going to say could have been 3 minutes, could have been 5 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity. We arrived, said hello, good to see everybody. And shortly after, she had mentioned that her brother was there to pick her up.
Now, as far as the Levinson and Miss Nagel, they were friends of your nephew, Brian Albert Jr., is that right?
That's correct.
And did you know them at all at that time, you know, when you arrived there on the 28th?
Miss Levinson, I did not know. First time I met her. I definitely met Julie before. She had, Brian and her hang out. So I definitely met her. I think she's been, I don't know if it was previous to this or after this, but Julie has, helped my my nephew Brian, when we go on vacation. We have a dog, and Brian would usually be the go-to to let the dog out, et cetera. And I know Julie has helped him. I just don't know if that was previous to that or after. But I definitely met Julie before.
Oh
Yes.
my God, you don't
You
have
met
to
her before, but essentially met her as a
over-explain
friend of your nephew,
yourself.
correct?
Yes,
This is weird.
Someone that you knew particularly well, is that fair to say?
correct. Didn't know her well.
So after about 3 to 5 minutes or so, after,
He's so he's over-explaining because because they've sat there and prepped with them on all this dumb stuff. This is ridiculous.
you arrived, you observed Miss Nagel looking outside, correct?
Yes, she was going out the door, correct.
And do you know why she was going out the door?
She said her brother was there to pick her up, but she didn't want.
But you know what I love about this is they're going to have to, this will be their 5th testimony. 5th. They will have 4 other things that they've, plus the reports, the doctored reports or proctored reports. They'll have 4 different things that they can go off of to see about their inconsistent statements. So, I know that they've had, going on it's past 3 years, 3.5 years since he passed away. God, they've had a long time to, you know, corroborate their stories and shit and get it down packed so they can look like they're telling the truth and shit. But come on. I mean, your body knows. Your body knows.
Leave.
And at any point in time, did either yourself or your wife extend an offer to either Ms. Nagel or Ms. Levinson or both in regard to getting home?
Yes. We informed, my wife informed them that if they wanted to stay because we just got there, we would be more than willing to drive them home.
And fair to say at this point in time, you didn't even know where Ms. Levinson or Ms. Nagel lived, is that correct?
No idea.
You didn't really know what you signed up for as far as driving them home, is that correct?
Oh, Canton's not that big of a town, so I wasn't too scared. But yeah, I didn't know exactly where they live. I knew they were from Canton.
Now, at some point when Ms. Nagel goes outside, what, if anything, drew your attention to the outside of the house?
When she went outside, or when she was opening the door, her or somebody referenced that there was another vehicle out front.
And so upon hearing that, where did you go?
Upon hearing that, we just assumed that was obviously John and Karen. So I don't recall if I looked out the window first or looked out the door first, but I looked out to see the other vehicle out in front of the house.
And just to be clear, when you say window and when you say
stayed
door,
out there for 24
Well, I was sitting at the table, and right behind me is a window.
And then he's on
Or if I stood up and took 5 steps, there's the front door of the house. So again,
in addition to sort of the
when she
regular
was
front
back
door,
at the
was
house
there
at
a storm door or something that would have
3:36, so
been
she
illuminated
left
through?
10 minutes after she dropped.
that would be the front door. I would call it the storm door. That yes, I could see out the front. There's another door. If you're looking at the house, there's your front door, windows, and then there's another door. Julie looked out or went out through that door. I either looked out the window or walked over to the front door, which would be the opposite door.
Regardless if you looked out the window or you looked out the storm door at the front door, when you looked out, what if anything, did you see?
I noticed the big SUV parked in front of the house.
And do you know what color the SUV was?
At the time, it was dark. I didn't know if it was a black SUV, a dark green, or dark blue, but it was a dark SUV.
And at the time, were you familiar with either or both of the vehicles of Mr. O'Keefe and or the defendant, Mr.
Trying to see. If
Yes, I knew Karen drove a dark SUV. I didn't know the make and model. I just knew she drove a dark SUV. I'd seen it at a pickup and things of that nature.
And did you know what kind of vehicle that Mr. O'Keefe drove around that time?
I think he had a smaller SUV. I don't remember the make.
Do you remember what
He
color?
had no, I don't remember the color of his
What
SUV.
does it matter?
Another car too that he drove around. I remember that. That's about it.
And when you're looking out from either the window or the door, where was the dark SUV in relation to the house?
If you came out that front door, pretty much right in front of the house, parked in front of the house.
Now, you mentioned that Ms. Nagel had left the house through the other door and gone outside. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you looked out, could you see Ms. Nagel or where she had gone?
No, there was another vehicle, again, coming out the front door. If you go to the left, there's a driveway. There was another vehicle over there. I don't know if it was on the street facing this way, if it was pulled in. I would just looked out the front door and noticed the car to be like, oh, that's John. That was my focus. I didn't look for Julie.
As far as the other vehicle, did you observe at least enough to know whether or not it was behind the dark SUV, in front of the dark SUV, or something else?
Yeah, it was to the left. It was equivalent to where the driveway was. And then after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep. And after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
And with respect to, just from your perspective, you're looking out, so the driveway would have been to your left, is that right?
Correct.
Are you familiar with any other sort of landmarks or anything else in the front yard area of your brother-in-law's house?
Yes. So you look out, the driveway's to the left. If you look to the right, there is an island of like maybe rhododendrons, something, bushes. There's a flagpole right there. There's a utility. I believe it's a green utility box. I'm assuming it's utility, kind of on the edge. There's a fire hydrant. All that stuff was to the right side of the looking out the front door.
Now, after you look out this initial time, you see this dark SUV sort of right in front of the door. Was that the only time that you looked out, or did you look out on subsequent occasions?
Nope. I looked out again because it'd been a few minutes. Again, 2, 3, 4 minutes. I'm not sure how long, but it'd been a few minutes, and we thought it was weird they hadn't come into the house. Looked out and saw the SUV again.
And when you looked out for the second time, where was the SUV in relation
He's
to
starting
where
to
it
show
was first?
stress.
The SUV had moved up the road from the front of the house. It went from spot A to spot B. Now it's further up, more in sync of where the again the flagpole, the utility box, more in sync with that. It had moved up the road. Thought it was weird that they hadn't come in.
Now, as far as the times that you're looking out, did you happen to make any note of sort of, let me ask you this, taking it back to the waterfall just for a second. When you were driving, or your wife was driving from the waterfall to 34th Fairview, what anything did you observe as far as
He's fidgeting.
The snow had started to fall.
And at that initial time that you're going from the waterfall to Fairview Roads, was it sticking to the pavement or anything at that point?
I believe there was a dusting. It was definitely falling. I don't think it was on the main roads, but definitely a dusting of snow was falling. Correct.
And from that time after you arrived at the house and shortly thereafter, when you observed this dark SUV out in front of the house, had that changed at all as far as the accumulation or sticking to the pavement, roadway, grass, anything like that you saw?
Yes. At some point, at least on their road in their grass, you could see the snow had started to, it definitely was sticking on that road.
Now, you observe it initially in front of the door, then about 3 or 4 minutes later, you observe it further up towards the flagpole, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And each of these times, you're not just standing at the door or standing at the window, staring out the entire time, correct?
No, just looking out, being like, what the hell are they doing? And going back to my seat.
And other than those 2 times that you've already testified about, was there any subsequent times after that?
Yes, I definitely looked out a third time out the door.
And the third time that you looked out the door, where was the dark SUV in relation to where it had been the second?
It had now proceeded further up the road,
Yeah, you
past
didn't hear
the
nothing, you see
flagpole, past the
nothing or
utility box, past the
anything.
fire hydrant,
Give me a break.
more in line with
You sure were paying a lot of attention.
between the
to
yards. I
what
believe
was
there's
happening
bushes and
outside.
trees that separate the Albert's residence to the next residence. So it was actually past the Albert's residence and a little further up. I'd say more on the edge of the property line of the, if you're looking out of the neighbors to their right, if I'm looking out of the house.
Of course you would say that.
This distance between the second time that you saw it and the third time that you saw it, do you have any idea about how much distance that was or how many feet?
Hey, I'd be guessing 30, 40 feet. I don't know. I have no idea. I'd have to measure it.
Sure.
Now, with respect to the snow that had fallen on the ground, as far as the vehicle was concerned, it moved from one point to the second point to the third point. Do you observe any sort of tire marks or anything in the snow out on the road when you looked out?
Stop it.
Yes, I did.
And the tire marks that you observed, they essentially lead up to the back tires of the dark SUV that you saw out there?
Oh, you're the only one that's seen
At some
tire
point,
tracks?
I looked out and noticed tire marks that would have started before the Jeep. So if the Jeep was here, so where it's just a weird, like a wave. It was a weird wave in the road. You could see the tire
That
marks.
don't even make
And was that
sense.
before or after? So at some point, this vehicle goes out to some other vehicle and then comes back inside the house.
Yeah,
Right?
you know
Yes,
you're
that's
full
correct.
of shit.
About how
That's
long
why
was
you're
it outside the house
fidgeting.
for?
I'd be guessing a minute. I'm not sure.
Not terribly long time.
No, not at all.
And so the time that you observed this sort of abnormality in the tire marks that you see out there, was that before or after she had come back inside the house?
That would have been after.
So you don't know if that was from the dark SUV or whatever vehicle she had met. You have no idea.
Objection.
No, can you answer that? Well, the form of the question, it's sustained. Right?
You know which vehicle left those abnormal tire marks you saw?
Based off of where the tire marks were, they came off the curb. My assumption was it was the SUV.
Yeah, no. You can't assume, dude. That's
Okay.
speculation.
Okay.
But you don't know, correct?
No, I didn't see the no.
And that was my next point. As far as when you saw the vehicle, as far as each of those 3 times, it was stationary each time you saw it, correct?
The first 2 times, definitely stationary. The third time, looked stationary. If it was going a half mile per hour, I'm not sure, but it was further up the road.
Whatever.
It looked to me it was stationary, but like I
Stop
said,
it.
if for some reason it was moving, it could have been moving. But
Now, each time that you saw the vehicle, was it in the same sort of position with respect to the house? By that, I mean, as far as was it on the Alberts, was it on the 34 Fairview side of the road or the other side, or where was the position with respect to the roadway?
yes, same position, parked parallel to the Albert's house, heading forward as if you were going to leave Fairview to head up to Chapman Street, heading away from the house.
And so each time that you observed the vehicle, you were looking at sort of the passenger side of that vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
And at any point in time, either of these 3 occasions that you observed the vehicle, did you see anybody outside of it?
I did not.
Did you see any footprints
'Cause he
around
was
the vehicle
inside.
or leading away from the vehicle or across the yard or anything like that?
I did not.
And did you, were you able to see inside of the vehicle from where you were, either from the window or from the storm door at the front
I
door?
did
I
not.
could not, or I did not see anything inside.
And further to that point, at any point in time that you observed this vehicle in front of the
All
house,
that weird mouth movement
did
and
you see
shit.
any sort of interior lights
It's
on
weird.
inside the
I
vehicle?
don't know how.
Not that I noticed.
Now, you saw it at 1.2.3. Were there any other times that you looked outside?
I'm assuming I looked out because at some point the vehicle was gone. So I must have looked out one more time because there was no vehicle there anymore. And again, I don't know if I just peeked out the window and said, oh, they left again.
In the
We didn't know where they
road,
were.
I assumed because that's
And
what
do
I
you know
do.
whether or not there had been any attempted communication by anyone in the house to Mr. O'Keefe at any point?
Yes.
And who's doing that?
My wife was trying to communicate with John.
Yeah, but
Let him
why
know that
are all
he's-
those texts and
let him know
calls
he's here.
deleted off her phone?
I'm going to let that
That's
stand.
what's weird.
And at any point, do you know whether or not Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Ms. McKay while they were out front of the house?
Objection.
Do you know? Not how you know. Do you know?
Do I know if Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Jen? Is that the question?
That's my question.
No.
No, she did not, or no, you don't know.
Oh, no, sorry. No, she did not. Sorry.
I'll strike that.
Now, Ms. McCabe, with regard to this, from the first time that you sort of get up and either look out the window or look out the door and see it in front of the front door, to the time that you
I
look
don't
out
know how the
and see it the third
prosecution
time,
don't
or
know that they're being
let me
lied
ask,
to.
from the time that you see it in front of the door to the time that you
It's all
see that there's no vehicle there anymore, you know how long a period of time that was?
I say at least 10 minutes, could be 12, 13, 14. I don't know the exact time, but it was out there for a little bit.
And so let me ask you this way: as far as from the first time to the second time, you testified it was about 3 or 4 to 5 minutes, somewhere in there, correct?
Correct.
Were the timing in between the times that you looked out, were they relatively consistent with each other?
Yes, they were.
So you look out 3 or 4 minutes, look out again, 3 or 4 minutes, look out again. Is that?
Yes, that would be in line. Correct.
And at some points around 1:45 to 2 a.m., somewhere in there is when you leave Fairview Road. Is that correct?
Yes,
You recall who drove your wife's vehicle home that night?
I drove.
And who, if anyone else, was in the vehicle, and where they see within the vehicle when you left?
So we were driving Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel home. They were in the back seat of the vehicle, and my wife was in the passenger seat. I don't know who sat behind the passenger, who sat behind the driver, but they were in the back seat.
Your Honor, if at this time of the court's submission, I'd like to publish with the jury for this witness, exhibits 71, 72, and 73.
Okay.
So I'd like to have exhibit 71 first. So, Ms. McKay, on the desk in front of you, there should be a laser pointer there. If you just click that button, point at the screen, when I ask you to do so. First, just with reference to what's up on the screen, exhibit 71, you recognize what that is, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize?
34th Fairview.
And absence from the snowfall, obviously, is essentially what the house looked like on that early morning of January 29th.
Yes, that's correct.
And if you could, with relation to the window first, and then the storm door that you were talking about, that you were looking out in the house, if you do the laser pointer, show the jury where that is.
That working? That would be the window. That'd be the storm door.
And with respect to the first placement, the first time that you look out and see the dark SUV in front of the house, is that visible in this photograph?
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
First time that you look out and see the dark SUV in front of the house, is that position, is that visible in this photograph?
I'd probably catch the very back end because there was a Jeep parked right here, so it'd be right there.
And so if I have exhibit 72, I guess you recognize what's up on the screen?
Yep.
So no photograph of the residence of 34 Fairview, is that correct?
Yes.
If you could, using that laser pointer, could you show the jury or demonstrate to the jury where that vehicle was the first time you saw it?
Say right about here, in this general area.
The second positioning that you were talking about, is that visible in this photograph?
No, it'd be further up the road.
So it's going to invite that exhibit 73. Can you recognize what's stated now in exhibit 73?
Yes, I do.
And that secondary position that you observed on this photograph.
Yes, it is.
So if you could, sir, just direct your attention where about that.
About in this general area right here.
And the third position that you saw the vehicle in, can you describe where that was?
Yep, it'd be further up the road. I'd say it would take right there.
Thank you, Mr. O'Keefe. And so, sir, you leave the residence at 34 Fairview. Do you recall, as far as the weather was concerned, what was the weather? What, if anything, had changed between the time that you looked out and the time that you came out to go home?
The snow was starting to accumulate.
So the storm was starting to pick up a bit, is that correct?
That is correct.
And when you came out of the house, the vehicle was in the driveway, correct?
That's correct.
And again, if you could, you're driving, who else is in the car and where are they?
I'm in the driver's seat. My wife is in the passenger seat, and Julie and Sarah are in the seats directly behind us.
Do you recall who was seated where?
I don't recall who was in what seat.
And you back out of the driveway and then do you recall where you were going or who you were dropping off first?
Yes, I back out of the driveway and proceed, heading up towards Chapman Street.
And so with the passenger side of the wife's vehicle, would that be facing closest to 34 Fairview at the time that you're driving away from it?
Yes, that's correct.
And the testimony as far as the storm picking up a little bit, do you recall anything you had to clear off the car, windshield wipers on or anything like that?
Yes, I brushed the car off. I had wiped the car off with my hand and clean off the windows before I pulled out of the driveway. And then obviously setting the windshield wipers as I'm driving away.
Now, that area over where the secondary position that you observed that dark SUV in over by the flagpole, do you recall any sort of like street lighting or anything, ambient overhead lighting in that area?
I don't recall it, no.
As you're driving away from the house, do you recall whether or not there any conversation?
He doesn't recall shit.
Yeah, it was chitter chatter. My wife was turned towards me, turned in, talking to the girls behind me. I know at one point somebody was joking about, I don't know, peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Of course, because you can't say that anybody was looking in the street or in the lawn that somebody was there. Of course.
Or something about bread. I forget what it was. And then I drove up the street.
And as you were driving up the street and away from the residence of Fairview, what, if anything, did you observe abnormal on the side of the road? Were you looking at the side of the road?
I was not. I was focusing on the snow coming down, the windshield wipers, and driving up the street.
And Kara said you didn't see anything in the yard or
So
anything.
you were driving
That's
drunk
correct.
too.
So you drove each of the two young ladies home, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
You know about what time it was that you got home yourself?
I got home, give or take, somewhere between after 2:10, 2:15-ish. I don't know the exact time, but somewhere in that vicinity.
And when you got home, each of your 4 daughters, including Allie, were they all home at that point?
The kids were home, correct.
And when you arrived in the house, you and your wife, where did you?
Well, first went in the kitchen. When we walked in, my wife proceeded upstairs before I did. I was in the kitchen for a few minutes and then went upstairs and went to bed.
And did your wife go to bed around the same time as you?
Yeah, she might have already been laying in bed before I physically got in the bed. But
Well,
yes,
she was sitting there Googling how's long to die in the snow.
You fell asleep, was your wife still awake, or had you already fallen?
she was still awake. We were both awake. She actually wanted to watch a show, which I had no desire to watch.
No,
And
she
said
wanted
I was
to
going to bed.
Google.
We talked a little bit about my younger
She
daughter.
wanted to Google.
About she was trying out for a basketball team, so we talked a little bit about that, and then that was it. I went to bed.
Turn your attention to the morning of the 29th. I'm sorry, yes, the morning of the 29th. You woke up at some point, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what, if anything, do you recall, or what woke you up that night?
I woke up to screams in my bedroom.
All right, maybe approach just briefly.
Okay.
Oh God, she's missing her boyfriend, and you woke up to screams. She looks so tired and run out. Like she's gonna be like that this trial too. I would be so pissed off at these motherfuckers for lying on me. God, I would be so mad. I would be so mad, and they get no repercussions at all because they hold freaking keys to the city and shit. They're stand-up decorated dudes. Mm-hmm. What is he on, a swivel chair? That's because he's ready to get the fuck up out of there. Shit. Okay, this is end of day 13. I'll be back tomorrow with day 14 when we get to hear from his wife after, his cross-examination. But anyways, so 7 people are seated on the jury. So it could be anywhere from next week to the week after that this case finally gets started again. Poor girl's got to go through this again. All this money to defend herself against crooked freaking people. Crooked. And you know what's sad is they make the rest of the cops look bad, where people are looking at them, oh, well, you're just as bad as the next. And I don't believe in that. Because you got good and bad in everybody. But anyways, thank you so much for coming by, supporting, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that great stuff. I really do appreciate it. I am on the road to 1K. I'm getting there. I'm hoping I'm getting there. Peace and blessings to you, Cold Pepsi. Thank you so much for coming through. But I will be back for more. I appreciate all that came in and supported me. And like I end every night, let the ones that you love and care about know that you love and care about them, because tomorrow is never promised. And be careful around your surroundings, because this could happen to anybody. So again, thank you all. Have a blessed night. Stay blessed. Stay safe.